I'd like to call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag
of the
United
United
States
States
of
of
America
America,
and to the republic
Republic,
for which it stands, one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty. and
liberty, and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
Okay, can the secretary please call the roll?
Certainly. President Schultz,
Here.
Secretary Treasurer Welker,
Here,
Trustee Warner,
Here.
Trustee Pell,
Present.
Trustee Horowitz.
Here.
Sir, we have a quorum present this afternoon.
Okay, great. So next regular meeting is July 8th, 2020 at 1 p.m. Town Hall. Go into discussions. Joe Flotterson of Peconic Water Sports LLC licensing agreement. Who is handling that? And Rob? Ann, you are? Is that
it's
done?
listed under me because it's out in Noyak.
Okay.
So Joe, are you here?
Joe.
Mhm.
Peconic Water Sports, Flotterin, Charles? Maybe we
Okay.
could come,
Okay, we can come back to it. Okay, we'll let him have some. So let's do the public hearing regarding the application of BOSCI Royal Avenue in Flanders. I know we had told the public that we really didn't want to have a public hearing until we could, have them be able to make comments before us instead of the Zoom. So I'd like to adjourn this meeting till we get some sense of where we are as far as getting back into the boardroom. So Lisa, what do you think? Do you have
I
any?
did receive correspondence from First Coastal. They submitted a letter which was circulated to the board to go into the record.
Mhm.
To have a chance to look at that. So you want to open it and then adjourn it, Eric?
Yeah, I would think so, because I told the community that we were going to, we had supplied some FOIL requests to them regarding previous permits on this piece of property. And I told them that once we got back into the boardroom, that we could have a regular public hearing on this. But
Okay.
I'd really like to put this to bed though soon, so I'm just trying to get some information from the supervisor. He's not in this minute about, where we are with going back to the normal schedule.
Okay, our next regular meeting is scheduled for July 8th.
Right.
And then the meeting after that would be August 3rd at 1 o'clock.
Well, maybe we should do it on a month-by-month basis now, just move it to July 8th.
Okay, you need a second?
I'll second it.
May I be heard before you close or adjourn the meeting?
Okay, what do you have to say?
I just, what I wanted to say was that we have submitted to the board a letter of no objection from the Long Neck Royal Canal Association. And we also submitted last Friday a copy of the New York State DEC permit for the project. So those are in your files. And although we appreciate the complications that have been brought upon by the virus, we asked for a speedy hearing. We've been waiting almost a year now to resolve this issue. And my client has shown what I believe to be a tremendous forbearance and patience, but we would like to bring this to a close.
Right, I would too. So that's why I'm proposing that we pretty much try to settle this at the next meeting.
If we could set that as a goal, regardless of whether we meet or not, we're all being forced into unusual circumstances.
Right.
Most people do have access to Zoom. So I'd like to close it next month, whether we can do it in person or if we have to do it remotely.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Next is a public hearing to consider amending Article 5, the use of trustees' docks and basins, commercial fishing basin at Road H. for the management of the waters of town in order to exempt the trustee-owned Woolly Pond dock from requirements of Article 5 and designate it as a trustee residential docking facility, to change the time frame required for dock permit display, and to remove Old Fort Pond as a boat slip location that requires seasonal tie-off piles.
Sean, do you, oh, sorry, Eric.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Sean, do you want to elaborate on this a bit?
Sure. We had brought this up at the last meeting. Only reason these three things are together are they fall within the same section of the book. So they are three unrelated things. Essentially, we have three basically blue book changes the trustees had asked us to draft, and this is the wording that was used and the effect that those changes would have. So the first one, exempting the Woolly Pond dock from requirements of Article 542B. That's redesignating that facility as a residential docking facility. The second, changing the timeframe for permit display from April 15th to November 30th is to make that coincide with the timeframe for yearly slip rentals of April 15th to November 15th. And the last one comes at the recommendation of the Bay Constable. That location, Old Fort Pond, had required seasonal tie-off poles. I believe that facility's been upgraded to permanent tie-off poles. So that change in the Blue Book would just reflect that change and bring our law up to speed with the modifications made.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I know we had also spoken about adding some slips, I believe, to that location was a concern. There is no Blue Book section dictating the number of slips. It's my legal opinion. I've spoken with several other attorneys within my office. You have the authority to do that without amending the Blue Book.
Right. Okay, any other comments from the board? Everybody's in favor of these changes? Okay, do we have any members of the public that want to weigh in on this? Okay. All right, then I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Are you leaving it open for written comment, Eric?
Yeah, we can leave it open for written comment for 2 weeks. How's that sound?
A notice of adoption is in your packet for today, so that would have to be tabled.
Oh,
till the
okay.
8th.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
Well, what do
Okay.
you want to do? Do you feel is there going to be any comments on any of these guys, girls?
Have we
I
received
don't
any
feel-
comments whatsoever on this proposal?
Not
Not that I'm aware of. No.
So either, and like I said, this is just kind of more of a housekeeping to make the Blue Book.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd feel comfortable adopting it, being that we've had no
Okay.
comments at all from the public.
That's
Okay.
Either way is fine with me. I
Yeah.
don't have a problem waiting 2 weeks. Either, whichever you feel is the most appropriate is fine with me.
Yeah, I'll leave that up to our attorney, what he feels more comfortable with. What do you think, Sean?
You're
Okay.
today. You know, I've cleared that with Jim Burke. There's
Okay.
no building up.
Okay. Very good. All right. Well, we can discuss that when it comes up for, so we won't have the additional comment period. We'll just go right to adoption tonight. Okay, very good. So now we have a public portion. Is anyone from the public on board have any comments? Charles, you don't have anybody that's in line to make a comment, do you?
As of now, I don't.
Okay. All right. Then we'll go into application for permits. First one, trustee resolution 2020-122. This is for the application of Irina Gadd of 21 Pine Tree Lane, West Hampton. Make a motion to be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And next.
Trustee Resolution 2020-123, application William Hale, trustee, Hale Lamb Family Trust, 67 Pine Neck Avenue, Noyak, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-5-1-7, body of water Mill Creek. We have vetted this extensively at work session. I'd like to recommend its approval.
Second.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ed's next.
I tried transferring it from this phone to my other phone.
I'll read it for you, Eddie. You want me to read it?
Go ahead.
Eddie's
Go ahead,
got
Scott.
trustee resolution 2020-124. It's the application of Lorenzo Cavallaro, 2 Mill Pond Road, Hampton Bays, tax map 900-321-1-17. It's a series of, it's an application for floating dock. It's been fully vetted, meets all Blue Book regulations.
Yeah, I think it's good to go.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Welcome. You're up, Bill. Bill, you're up.
Bill's got the Southampton RE Partners LLC.
You're up, Bill.
I had it on mute. Trustee Resolution 2020-125. It's a renewal application, the second time for RE Partner LLC, permit number WRC 00071. Address is 95 Down East Lane, Village of Southampton. Tax map is 0904-12-1-1.1. Body of water is Hetty Creek. Nothing has changed on this, so I'm looking for a second on this one.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried.
I have a renewal 2020-126. It's a first renewal for Alex and Megan Nikonovich, permit GP 000076, 5 Lincoln Avenue, Hampton Bays, New York. Tax map 0900-293-2-6. No changes. I suggest we renew it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Also got trustee resolution 2020-127, Baycrest Properties LLC, 23 Dune Road, Quogue, New York. Tax map 0902-12-1-13. Another application fully vetted at work session, meets all of our Blue Book criteria. I suggest that we grant the permit.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Trustee resolution 2020-128 for Fair Oaks Drive LLC, Village of Quogue, tax map 0902-6-1-16.3. Another application that we thoroughly vetted at work session, and it meets all Blue Book regulations at this point in time. Suggest we grant the permit.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So carried. Okay. Next one is Resolution 2020-129. This is to authorize the further extension of the expiration dates for all trustee permits and licenses until July 8th, 2020. We feel this is necessary because we're still backlogged with some special applications for permits that people have sent in, and we have to have them come in, and they've sent them in by mail. We're doing very well on the e-permitting, but we want to grant this further extension to take care of these other people.
Lisa, do you want to chime in at all on that? Do you have anything to add?
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Yes, it'll give the staff some breathing room to catch up on the backlog of the e-permitting as well as the mail, which is now over 3 feet high. And we've processed about 2,400 permits, not including the shellfish permits, in the last 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've made tremendous progress. The staff should be commended for their dedication and hard work, and this will give us an opportunity to clear that backlog.
Okay.
Yeah, Lisa, you might want to add the amount of phone calls that are coming in just for
Yeah,
regular
we were
information
receiving
that takes time to answer.
Yeah, excuse me, Eric. We were receiving approximately 150 phone calls on average a day. So that's also, we're trying to field all of those calls, answer everyone's questions, by email, by phone call, however we can respond to their issues, sometimes meeting people out front, whatever it takes.
That's good. Do the best you can.
Right. Want
Give you the relief.
to keep the public happy and
Yep.
not get anybody into trouble.
So we need a second on this, Eric?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So carried. Okay. So, Ann is next with the licensing agreement with Peconic Water Sports LLC.
Did we need
Right.
to hear from them during the discussion, or
He's-
can we
he's-
go ahead?
He's on.
I'm
Yeah,
here.
it's okay. Very good.
How's it going?
Good. So this is something that we've done year after year, right?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
it, I believe.
Right.
We
And no problems or issues going on down there?
No, everything seems pretty good. We only use it as an overflow, as I'd mentioned in past years. So we are a tenant at Mill Creek Marina around the corner. This summer is the busiest thing we've ever seen on the water. And so, it's important to us just when we don't have enough capacity over there. In terms of slips, we have some of our lessons, fishing people, whatever it is, pick up over there. We pick them right up off the dock. We're typically in and out pretty quick. It's relatively low impact, but it is helping us, make money and make up for the ground we lost the last 2 months. So
Okay.
It has worked very good in the past, Eric.
Yeah, I remember.
if you guys have any input or anything, we try to fit in wherever we can, as always. So if you guys have any input or anything you want to see, you just let us know, and we're always happy to implement it. I think you guys have my number. So anything, if you ever get any feedback or any issues, you know where to find me, and we implement the stuff immediately. So
I just have one question. The
Go ahead.
marina right next to you, ever have any trouble with him?
in the past, there was a little frustration with them, which we've worked pretty hard to address. So when we have bookings that do go over there, we have a Google Maps printout that indicates where the dock is, where public property is versus private property. It's the Hamptons, we got city people coming out, you guys know the deal and everything. And sometimes they just come in and park and leave their stuff wherever, but we do everything we can to address it. There's just kind of a limit, as with anything else, to how much I can control a person who's ultimately just a client. But the guys that go there know, and the answer is always, do not park in that lot. It's not your lot. You can't just leave your car wherever you want to. And I'm sure you guys see the same thing all over town at certain times. So we lean on it pretty hard. Like I said, this is an important spot to us. So whatever we can do to make ourselves fit and allow us to continue to use it, we're always doing. And if you guys want, I can send you over what we're actually utilizing for that and what we've implemented to try to keep that addressed. But I spoke to them. The last time we had an issue with it was at the beginning of last season, and we didn't have anything after that, and we haven't so far this year. So we're hoping that continues.
Okay, thank you. He just mentioned something when he came in last time, that's all.
Yeah, no, it's all, we're on top of it. We're trying to be good neighbors and stuff. And, I'm transparent about whatever we've got going on. So if you guys want, if you want, I can send Lisa what we're utilizing for it. And if you guys want to have any input on that side, I'm happy to receive it and try to keep all the doors open for us,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sean, you reviewed all the documents they provided relative to insurance requirement.
Yes.
They've met all the conditions.
I believe we're still waiting on one notarized document. I think James was on that email thread. But, once we receive that, we're good to go.
I came in and signed and submitted everything back in February, and I was on for a meeting April 3rd, which was the one that was canceled, which was what brings me here. So I think if you guys need anything, let me know.
Okay.
But
Well, Scott, this resolution is to authorize me to sign it once all the paperwork's in place.
Okay, so you're going to make, all right, so insurance,
Yeah.
the whole deal.
Those documents will be forwarded.
Will somebody email me just what you need so I can have somebody bring it over later today or tomorrow?
We have everything for you.
You guys have everything?
Yeah, you're all set.
Okay.
So we can
It
move
just has-
forward with the resolution then for Eric to sign.
I'm comfortable.
Okay. Right, well, this is, what? Go ahead,
I
Dan.
just have one question. Joe, what fee are you paying for this license agreement?
$400, which is the permit application fee, or that's what it's been in the past.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I'm just wondering if, I know there's nothing that we can do at this point at short notice, but I'm wondering going forward if perhaps, given that this is a commercial use of this property that perhaps we should look at some sort of fee that goes along with this that would be increased due to commercial nature. Sean, maybe you could elaborate a bit on that?
I would suggest we discuss this in executive session. There's no provision of it in the.
I would think so.
That's it.
Yeah,
because
we
this
need a
affects a
public
lot of-
hearing and everything for this, so there'd be
Yeah,
a
that's a
process.
discussion for a different time.
I'm open to anything that's keeping me in business and operating right now. My main concern is that, you know, we're now at crunch time and I've got 10 weeks to make money. So as long as I
Right.
have access to it, you know, basically immediately, and I can continue to have access, like I said, whatever you guys want to work out that's fair, you know, I'm here and I'm on it. So
That would be for next year.
Yeah, I think there's a time and a place for every
Right.
discussion, but I think with small business, especially where we are, that's literally hanging on by a thread.
Mhm.
I don't think it's the time or the place to be looking to increase fees like that on a commercial enterprise that's trying to survive and thrive here in the Hamptons, which is tough. I get it.
if you guys get me through this year, you can get twice as much next year, I bet. So come and get me next
Well,
winter.
I agree with
Well,
Scott.
Yeah, well, it also provides a destination for people to come out and then they use restaurants and like out rooms and hotel rooms and
What we do, or what
It
we
definitely
do
has a trickle-down effect.
yes.
we view ourselves as basically a means for people that don't have a boat to get on the water still.
Right.
Across anything that we offer, anything that a typical person would do with a boat or involving the water, we provide them access without having to own it. And there's a lot of people that are looking for that. There's a lot of people that come out here and rent. And
Sure.
a lot of what we do is go into restaurants, go into other businesses, mixing with other businesses and stuff. And we're here,
Right.
you know, we all live here. We're all part of the town, part of the communities and everything across all of our locations. So
Right.
we're stimulating the economy as much as we can.
Right. Good.
Just keep everybody safe. That's all we
Yeah.
ask.
We're trying.
Everybody safe, please.
This is it.
Yep. All right. So I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the president to enter into a license agreement with Peconic Water Sports to use the dock and ramp located at 53 Pine Neck Avenue, Noyak, for a term beginning on June 15, 2020 and ending on October 1st, 2020. I'd like to make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So carried.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to sign
Okay.
off. All good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good day. Okay, Ann's next with the resolution 131.
Charles, is anybody on from Global Boarding?
Yes. Mr. Reed, he has to unmute, I believe.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
Not on mute.
Do you just
Okay.
want to?
I can hear you.
No, okay, I'm like, whoa, I'm not.
You're good.
Do you want to explain, Mr. Reed, just the nature of your agreement with the trustees?
Yes, we've been in business 20 years out here, and we've always rented moorings for a season and the dock over at Cove, the one that Joe was just talking about. We've also had the permit to run off that for years as well. We very rarely ever use it, but we do need it at times.
Okay. And Sean's looked at this agreement. It's the same basically as we've been doing for quite a few years.
About 4, I think, 3 to 4 years.
Mhm.
Yes, all those documents were forwarded to me as well. Looks like standard language.
We just need the one hold harmless, which Rob is aware of and he's going to send today. So other than that, that's and the check for the application fee as well,
Okay.
which we'll figure out today or tomorrow.
Okay. And this is a resolution for authorizes the president to sign once all the documents are in place. So, anybody have any further comments on it? Okay, I'll make the resolution that Trustees authorize the president to enter into a license agreement with Global Boarding LLC for the use of the dock and ramp located at 53 Pine Neck Avenue, Noyak, for a term beginning on June 15, 2020, and ending on October 1st, 2020, for the purposes of providing access to the water for water ski, wakeboard, and board surfing instructions to visitors and local residents. Make the resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Okay,
All right, thank you, guys. Appreciate
no
it.
problem.
All right, have a good summer.
You too.
So next one is trustee resolution 2020-132. This is warrant number 11 of 2020 for the trustees in the amount of $63,442.74. Lisa, would you please read that into the record?
Yeah, I'm having issues getting my email up, Ann, at the moment. I'm trying.
Is
It's
it,
just,
is it any place, can you forward it to me and I can read it?
I'm having problems finding it in my email at the moment. If you could just give me a second.
Oh.
It's just automatically scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Just a second.
Okay.
Hold on.
Oh, here we go. Mark Conrad. I'm sorry. Sorry, people. 1
No
second.
problem. I'm looking it up too.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
Image is loading. Okay, we have
okay.
Bridgehampton National Bank, $1,280.16. Law offices of Con & Con PC, $14,761. Call Ahead, $36. Safe Harbor Publications, $85.01. Loper's Equipment Corp., $69.96. New York State Industries for the Disabled for $46,022.59. I believe this is the grant, the archiving grant. William Decker, $624. Republic Crane and Hoist Corp., $175. Riverhead Building Supply, Inc. for $360.13. W.B. Mason for $28.89 for a total of $63,442.74.
Let's explain the New York State Industries for the Disabled for the $46,000. That is for the digitization of all the trustee records, which we got a grant for. So basically, we got the money, and then now it's just going to them now, right?
Yes, and the digitization of the records has been completed. So we just have to arrange for the return of the 90, actual trustee permits, which we're working on now.
Right. Okay. The other one, William Decker, $624. Was that for hauling of the derelict sailboat?
I can't confirm that at this time, Eric. I can find out for you, though.
When was the date of it? 'Cause it might be for the barge, bringing the barge back.
6/15/2020. June 15th. That's when we got the bill.
Today's.
What's the date of
Oh,
service?
no. Oh, wait. No. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is there any?
Yeah. I can definitely find out for the board and follow up with you. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Because there was a situation, there was a derelict vessel and we were deciding on who was going to be able to haul it or not. Okay, so I left that up to the Bay Constables to decide what the most efficient way to do it was, than to bring it back to our yard. So that's probably what it is.
Yeah, Mr. Decker has pulled out our barge a couple of times also, Eric, in the past. But I don't know what the time frame of the bill is. So it's either one or the other.
All right. Okay.
Can I just want to add one thing. With this $14,000 Con & Con invoice, the trustees have now topped their $100,000 legal budget for 2020.
Is that just for him?
No.
No, well, you just gonna have to move some from contingency over to legal.
Right.
So make a resolution, make a.
Right.
Figure
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Sorry.
What?
No, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I'm just saying that's, we left a line for contingency in the budget for the year because you don't know where you're going to be at on some of these expenses. So we'll just take that line and fortify what it is that we need. You don't know what machinery is going to break, and obviously defense of resources for the trustees and the freeholders is imperative, and that comes with a price tag of legal expense. And that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
So
I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware, though, that the $100,000 that was budgeted for has been utilized 6 months in.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't control who's suing us and where the judges are making decisions on things.
I think that's why it's prudent for the trustees to always try and maintain at least $1 million in fund balance, so that if they have to dig in defense of protecting these resources and protecting, rights and access for everybody in the town, you don't want to compromise on that. You want to be able to do that, and that's what we'll do.
Right. Okay.
So I'd like to, sorry, we just
go
didn't.
ahead. No, you're gonna make the motion on it?
Please. Yes, I'd like to
So moved.
ask for this to be approved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay. Ed's next. He's authorize the expenditure of Chesterfield Associates for sand reclamation at Far Pond Road. Make a motion that you want to make a motion we approve it?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just for everybody's edification, I was down there over the weekend after the storm last week with the southwesterly wind. The sand is held up very well. The road end is not getting washed out, and it looks like it's going to be there for some period of time. So it was a good exercise for us to undertake to figure out how long the sand, being as a soft solution, it's something that we look forward to doing, how long it's going to last.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Good
next
job,
step
Eric,
is to
and
go.
everybody
Next
involved.
step is to go to the county and try to get that inlet move a little further to the west, so we stop the impact at the end of the road.
The conversation I had, we would apply for that permit to put the sand there ourselves. It would
Okay.
be a permit that we would be applying for, but to amend their permit.
Okay.
It's a little complicated,
All right.
but we'll work through it.
You talked to the county recently?
The last conversation I had was 2 weeks ago. It looks like they're not going to do any spring dredging because they can't get any permits lined up with the Army Corps and the DEC. The last conversation I had with Scott, it looks like Cold Springs will be the first fall dredging project. They're going to try to do it in September, and then they're going to look forward to coming over here and doing the Middle and Far Pond next. So it depends on their schedule, but that was their tentative schedule that we had submitted and what they looked at so far.
Okay. You think it's good to have Scott Hillary come out and we can go to the different sites and figure out what we want to do?
He's already been to Cold Springs. He's already been to Far Pond and Middle Pond.
Fresh Pond.
So I'll give him a call this week and update on it, everybody on what he's been doing. All right.
Did you go to Fresh Pond? Do you know if he went over to Fresh Pond?
Fresh Pond in
North Sea. Did he go to North Sea, Fresh Pond?
No, they had done it in the fall, and that's the only time they could get it done. There'll be no more spring dredging in the Fresh Pond.
But it's on the list for September, right? Because
Yes.
it's shoaled over and
Yes.
impassable except at.
But unfortunately, we used to ask for it in the springtime so that they could get through the winter season with the northeasters. But unfortunately, there are other projects that are more important, and it's one of those things. If they don't do it in the fall, it's not going to get done.
Right. Okay. Well, when he looked at Far Pond, did you go down there, or did he just looked at him by himself?
He looked at it by himself.
Oh, okay.
And he did see our project, and I told him it came from the point inside. We just removed the sand that had been previously there, And he
Right.
thought that was a really good idea, the way that worked out. So
Okay.
he was impressed how much sand and how good the beach turned out.
Yeah, good. Well, thanks for helping out with that.
One other thing, Woolly Pond, I believe it's on the priority, but it doesn't have a permit. It's one of those ponds that they have to reapply for the application for the permit. He doesn't know when that will be forthcoming. So when I talk to him next, I'll get an update on all of this stuff, all right?
Okay. Well, when things break free, I think that we should be having a discussion with the DEC about getting some sort of townwide permit so we can move things along a little faster, you know?
Well, that was when I first became a trustee, that was our goal, was to get a townwide permit. But what had happened, all the permits had expired
Right.
throughout the whole Peconic Bay system. And they were in the process of just doing North Sea Harbor.
Right.
So
No fault of ours though,
subsequently,
right?
Every
Remember?
year they keep expiring. So it would be nice having a 10-year permit for the whole town. That way we can reapply for the whole town. That would make it so much easier on us.
Carter Creek moving along, Eric? We got the surveys, Carter Creek?
As far as I know, I'll get an update today. I'll look into that.
We got, Brush Jetties, Dave's Creek, and then obviously Brush Jetties, Carter Creek, right after the dredge, right?
Right. Well, the maintenance department went down and they did Dave's Creek. They rebrushed the jetty. I told them not to do it, full scale, but to do just maybe about a foot high to, control. And they were supposed to be going down to Carter Creek too to do the same thing.
Okay.
So that might even be done by now.
Okay.
So at least we keep any additional sand moving into there.
Yeah. Excellent.
So, and Ed, just to mention that, those permits expiring, that was no fault of us. That was the county will let them expire, right?
Oh, we know that, Eric.
Yeah, okay.
The county and the
Public doesn't
Fish
know
and
that.
Wildlife and the DEC, they came up with all new criteria
Right.
for the dredging. And North Sea was the first permit that was given for Peconic, and that was a template for all the other dredging projects throughout the Peconic system.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks
Okay.
to our Plover Stewart's, James' predecessor, Mariah, and we had a wonderful catalog of information for them to pull from. I did supply them some fish habitat and eelgrass and stuff like that. So, as a board, we came together and basically expedited that North Sea permit, which is the benchmark now for all the permits in Peconic.
Okay. So we've been talking about this long. Excuse me. Did we pass the resolution on this, or Elisa?
Yes,
Okay.
for the expenditure for Chesterfield?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry about that. We've got into talking about it. All right. So Bill's next. Trustee Resolution 2021-34.
Notice of adoption of a third amendment of the rules and regulations for the management production of the water of the town of Southampton, Article V and 42. Use of trustee docks and basin and commercial fishing basin at road edge.
You want a second?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So carried.
Thanks for working on
Okay.
that. That's a good win for us as far as increasing our dock slips and stuff.
Yes. Very good. Okay, so now we've done with the permits. We'll go into the work session application.
We've got a couple
Oh, that's right,
walk-ons.
the walk-ons, right?
You can walk them on as a packet, President Schultz.
Yeah,
if
I'm gonna
you
do
want.
that. I'm gonna make a motion that we have a walk-on of
I'll second it.
4 walk-ons, okay? First one is okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, so the first one is to adopt the Lake Agawam Harmful Algal Bloom Action Plan dated April 2020. Now, Sean has looked this all over and he's comfortable with it, right?
Yeah,
Sean?
and I worked on this pretty extensively this morning to get this wrapped up. There was also input from last week's public meeting, the joint public meeting. I think this is ready to go.
Okay, so basically this is the resolve that the Board of Trustees approve and adopt the Lake Agawam Harmful Algal Bloom, and that the board authorizes the president to sign any or all agreements regarding to this to affix 2 ultrasonic devices within Agawam and deter the proliferation of algal blooms. and endorse, basically to endorse and authorize the Village of Southampton to request a permit pursuant to Articles 15 and 24 of the Environmental Conservation Law. So that's what it is. We're authorizing the use of the devices, either the agua bloom, and allowing the village to make application to the DEC and any or all other agencies to get this done, secure a permit. So I'd like to make a motion that this be approved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Second one is Ann's. Do you want to read this? Or do you want me to? Okay.
I can. This is to authorize a contribution to the Sag Harbor Water Quality Initiative. This is a joint program between the East Hampton Trustees, Southampton Town Board, Southampton Trustees, Sag Harbor Village, Breakwater Yacht Club, Sag Harbor Yacht Club. All contribute to this water quality testing. It's been an ongoing project this is the third and final year for this project. It has been scaled back this year. There is still one site that's being tested in Southampton Town waters, which is in the Upper Cove, where there has been fecal coliform bacteria detected. And as the Southampton Town Trustees have contributed to the last 2 years of testing, we feel that we should pledge $2,000 towards the completion of the research, and hopefully there'll be some action taken to remediate these contaminants.
Okay. So you're making the resolution?
Yep.
I'll
I'd like
second it.
to-
Well, hold on, I have a few questions.
Okay.
I would like to see how the money has been, how the past money has been spent. I don't feel comfortable at making a donation to somewhere again where I hear rumors that most of the money was spent in one area, not all over like it was said to be spent. I'd like to see how it was spent and the reports on each thing before we give any more money.
So I can certainly come up with that. I think that I would have to ask, because the trustees made, so let's just break down what the Southampton Town Trustees have contributed. The first year we contributed $5,000. The second year we contributed $1,250. This year it's proposed a pledged contribution of $2,000. The majority of the money comes from other other organizations that have interests. This has been an ongoing project, and the research that's involved with it will be wrapped up with this year. They have, as I said previously, they have drastically scaled back the project this year, and the $2,000 that the town trustees would be contributing will effectively work towards, I think, several additional weeks of twice weekly sampling.
So we're going to give them a total of $8,200, and it's been scheduled back. What we were originally promised what they were going to do, but I still like to see how the money was spent. Because why are they scheduling it back? Because they misspent the money? I don't know that. I want to see how the money was spent. I talked to other trustees, and they feel the same way. And I don't feel comfortable in, saying yes, until I see that,
Why don't we assure all the rest of the trustees that how involved the testing was in the last 2 years? Make everybody comfortable with that. This amount of money that was spent, that they're asking for, was additional testing. So this is going. When are they going to end the sampling? At the end of the summer?
Yes, either September or October.
Oh, okay. So basically our money, if we contributed to this, would be towards the end of the season. So we have time. So if you can try to get some of the invoices and everything to make everybody more comfortable with that, that would be good, I think.
At
And
the
put it off the
last
next meeting.
At the last meeting, Marianne Eddy, the chairperson of the Sag Harbor Harbor Committee, and Dr. Christopher Gobler both spoke to this. The opportunity was presented at that point for questions. I will do what I can to address this now, but I'm fine with holding on to it for now.
Okay.
I have one question. The area where there was a fecal coliform score in our town waters, have they been able to determine whether it's an animal feces or human feces that was
That
byproduct?
That's what the testing is for this year. They're doing DNA testing, and DNA testing is what determines whether it's where it exactly comes from.
So that's really
why
important, being it's a shellfish growing area.
Right.
Yep. So
Right.
that's
That
why
to me, I mean, if we're going to spend $2,000, that to me is that should be front and center of the report. So if it's human, we can prioritize our pump out boat system and educate the public. If it's
Right.
animal, then we'll know it's a different type of a problem. So
Right.
it'll give us basically a direction to go in down there.
Right. Right. That's
Hey,
all one. But, you know, we're all about fiscal responsibility. So I think before we donate, then maybe we should make all the trustees comfortable with how the previous money's been spent.
Well,
I
just
fully
that
understand.
breakdown and getting that answer, to me, it's well worth the $2,000 for the public health issues
Mhm.
potential.
Right. I mean, we have been involved. It would be good to be involved in the culmination. But Bill has some very valid concerns, and Eric, you put it well. The trustees all should be comfortable that things are being done from a fiscally prudent standpoint, especially based on the fact that we're going to now move contingency money over to continue a legal battle, so put more strain on a budget.
Right.
Where we're lagging behind in processing permits and generating revenue, not to mention the fact that we still have a lot of trustee infrastructure that we're working on and need
Right.
to be working on to pay down the debt service so that people can enjoy these docks and piers. So
Right.
I agree with the completion of the project, and I agree with everybody needing to be totally comfortable on the fiscal prudence side, especially with what we're facing. So that's fine. I mean, if you want to wait a couple weeks, and if you can get, whatever.
what
Bill.
I'll do is ask Marianne Eddy to draw up a breakdown, the chair of the Sag Harbor Harbor Committee, and perhaps she can come and present it at the next meeting.
Did you need that? We had a presentation, but do you want a more reviewed documents, Bill, or do you want?
I just documents is good. She does have to come and
Yeah,
speak.
right.
And get the
Documents are fine.
and see where, if that area was tested before. If this is the first time that area's been tested, how come it wasn't tested before? Like Ed says, it's an important area for shellfish.
This area has been tested before, and that's why they're asking for it to be the testing to be continued this year, because they detected the fecal coliform.
Okay. No, it's a worthwhile project, but let's make
Yes.
everybody feel comfortable about this and
Yeah.
so we can, if
I mean,
anybody does have any questions, we've done our due diligence.
Yes, I agree with it.
I think that's fair.
Okay. All right. So we'll put this
Thank
off
you.
till next meeting, okay?
Okay, so we have a motion to table to July
Second.
8th.
I'll make the motion to table.
I'll second his motion.
Okay, all in
That'll
favor?
be tabled to
Aye.
7/8.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. The next
Okay,
one is Ann too with Chris Kobler and Stony Brook.
Yep, third walk-on is to authorize the trustees to sign an agreement with Dr. Christopher Gobler and Stony Brook University to install a data logging water quality device in Mill Creek. Dr. Gobler is looking to put another water quality monitoring buoy that would be one of the projects of his graduate students in Mill Creek, because he wants to see the difference between Mill Pond and Mill Creek. This would be, Sean, do you want to elaborate? Because you were good enough to draw this up and look it over.
Yes, I did draw this out. This is the same as the other two water quality monitoring buoys. They've already provided us with the insurance certificate. They've already signed to hold harmless, and they're doing this at cost, so there's no cost to the trustees. It is a SUNY Stony Brook project. So it's essentially the same thing as the other two that are already in place that the trustees had authorized.
Okay. More information, the better.
Sean.
Thank you. Are there any questions, any further questions?
Nope. Worthwhile project.
I'd like to request the approval of this then.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Okay, the fourth one is the modification of Brian Coyle permit, GP 000153 at 27 Pearson Road, Flanders, in Reeves Bay. As a, so James, are you on? Do you have the? Can you bring that up? Is he on yet? Okay.
He's sharing the screen.
All right. As some of you recall, we got an application a while back to put a dock, residential dock, out in a very narrow body of water over in Flanders. And basically the only place we could put it to let the person have riparian rights due to the figures that were submitted regarding the depths. So we put out some stakes out where the dock was supposed to go, and it looked like the channel had moved a little bit and it was going to make it dangerous for navigation. So I went out with the Bay Constable on Friday and we took depth measurements throughout the bay and leading up to it. And then I field checked it on 2 successive tides, and it was found that there was a layer of silt on the top at hard bottom, and by moving the dock, as you see, to this new location, same size, and I talked to the boatyard owner, the people across the way, and the property owner, and everybody agreed that this was the best location. On top of that, you can see underneath the black highlighted line, there's an indent in the shoreline there where it was a traditional access to the shoreline, and the Spartina grass is all worn out right there, so it would make more sense to go straight out from this in this line. Now, it does project past the property line, but that property is owned by the county and is to be left in its natural state, so there's not going to be any more docks going in that area in perpetuity, so it doesn't affect the other end. Besides, anything out is our bottom anyway. So I'm requesting that we make a modification to this to change the location of the dock.
It looks like the appropriate thing to do, Eric, knowing the area.
Mm-hmm.
And it does open it up a little bit, so it's not so neck down. So
Right.
it'll be easier to navigate in and out of there.
It was going to be very tight because you have a lot of wind coming in there, and it would push boats actually right towards that where that dock facility is.
And it's shoaled up in there extensively, especially at the mouth.
And the shoal has moved since this application has been presented. So
To the
that's,
east. To the
yes,
east.
it's gone to the east. It's gone
But is there a way to set this? And it's probably a Sean question. It does violate the principle of extended property line, though, right?
But it's our bottom.
No, I understand, but I'm just
but
relative
the
to
neighboring property is Suffolk County. It's not like it's infringing on their ability to get in and out access off their property. If it was another property that had a house on it and a potential dock, then I could see a problem. But having it like this, it's kind of a unique situation.
Right. So I think it's got to be handled uniquely. I think it's a Sean question in terms of, can he craft the permit language so that it's distinguished, so that it doesn't set a precedence for other issues relative to compliance with Blue Book and maintaining consistency among permits. The fact that, it's a county-owned property and it's not going to be developed, is there some distinguishing ability that we have in the wording of the permit? That's my question to Sean.
And I think I'll just need a little bit of time to work on that. I will need some time to research it, and I can work closely with you on that, Scott. I can't give you an answer on the fly, though.
But do you see, is there a need for that, or is that overkill relative to setting precedents on, further, future permits that we may want to hold to certain extended property line regulations to distinguish this one from one that has a private property next to it?
Well, there's different schools of thought on how to project property lines out. There's one school of thought is straight out, like you normally see, and other ones, precedents have been set that it goes out from the face of the shoreline, which this would be perpendicular to that.
Right. I'm not trying to jam it up. I'm just trying to find, some way to set this apart if it does deviate a little bit from what we normally do, just so that we don't create, some unintended consequence.
Right. I understand. Right.
That's all.
Especially at the ends of creek and things.
We're looking for this to be looked at for an approval for a better navigation in and out of a very narrow channel. So there's two ways of looking at it. Safety for navigation and allowing the property owner to have a dock, or putting it in the original proposed area where it becomes a much more difficult navigation in and out of the creek there. So that's two ways of looking at it.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just recall us getting involved in long cases of having to move docks because they violated extended property lines and created issues. I just want to make sure that we're not getting involved in an unintended consequence here, and that from a legal standpoint, it's the permit language on the resolution is crafted in such a way that clearly articulates what it is that you're saying, just to protect the board.
I think it's important we have Sean look at it and give him his counsel experience and come up with something that will cover us, the applicant, and the dock going forward.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can have an answer for the next meeting.
Is that okay, Eric?
Well, I would want to get it resolved today because the contractor was on site laying out and had delivered the stuff. And when it looked like what was going to happen, that I went down there and did all these soundings and everything and came up with this proposal.
So would just simply inclusion of the fact that the adjoining property owner is, preserved parkland,
and it's not buildable, so there'll never be a dock along there.
I think you need. I think I think that you need to, at the very least, have some distinguishing wording in that permit that clearly sets this aside from standard properties that we work on where there are buildable lots next to each other that could create, some issue. That's what all my commentary is. I understand what you're saying, but
different water bodies meet different criteria as far as where you can put docks. At the ends of canals, sometimes you have to divide it like a pie shape. So it's not a law that's written in stone legally that you have to stay within your property line. It's all most of it's site specific. We've had
we usually
situations.
do it.
Remember Ed down there in Hampton Bays with the two lawsuits that we had back, the two people fighting.
Mr. Ennis, Art Ennis?
Yes, there was remember we had to split the difference between, the property lines?
Mr. Gentile, Mr. Ennis, yes.
Right.
But we don't have an adjoining property owner that's going to complain. So that's,
right.
It's a different circumstance here.
So Sean, is it possible to include that wording in this resolution to distinguish this from other applications we'd be working on based on that?
Yeah, I can certainly take a look at it if you'd like. And maybe we can change that.
Okay. What's different about this too is that in normal situations, we might have a place to put the spoil. there is basically no place to put any spoil in this area. It's very difficult to even get a barge in there to remove that bar on the other side. Whether you even get a little small piece of equipment in, it's a very difficult, tight situation which has existed for quite a few years, complicated by the fact that the person has the right to wharf out. So we're trying to balance everything by having him have the ability to wharf out, but also to provide for the safe navigation in that area. Which
No, I'm with you. I'm with you on the concept and what it is that I fully understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look out for an possible unintended consequence. That's all.
Right.
So, and I think you can clear that up with the wording relative to this case is different than other cases.
Okay. All right. I'll work with Sean on that today.
Right. But I'm good. I mean, if you want,
Can you sign it?
Well, how about authorize me to sign it if it comes up to Sean's
I would be comfortable with that if the board is comfortable with that.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
as long as we could have the verbiage put in the permit, signing it would be fine.
Right. Okay. All right. I'll make the motion that we modify this permit, so subject to approval by the town attorney.
I'll second.
Favor?
Are
All
we
in favor?
tabling, excuse me,
No.
President?
No, we're authorizing me to approve the permit, sign the approval of the permit modification, subject to the town attorney's looking at the approval so it doesn't create any precedent.
So it will be amended with other language.
Perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps, yes.
Okay, so we're not doing a motion to amend or adopting it as is?
No, I'm making a motion to modify authorize me to sign the permit subject to the town attorney's looking at the document and having his approval.
Okay,
Same as anything else like we've just done before, authorizing me to sign it when documents were received.
I'll second it.
I'll work out that language with you, Lisa.
okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, that's good for the walk-ons. Charles, anybody else from the public come in and want to speak? I guess not. Okay, so.
I got a couple things, Eric, if you have a
Okay,
minute.
well, we have to go into work session, so.
All right.
Is that
But I
good? You want to? No, go ahead, Scott, sorry.
No, I've got a request here from Ali DePerdy. I got an email from Atlantic Marine Conservation Society in behalf of Rob DiGiovanni. And if you recall, these folks show up and they do the necropsies and, with the sea turtle and whale strandings.
Right.
And they're asking, and I think we've accommodated this, maybe a Sean question as well, for some form of an identification so that they can get their vehicles up close. If they're, their knives and their tools and whatever it is that they have to do, if there's some permit or pass that we can give them to show that, that's an activity that they're engaging in to avoid a problem with, code enforcement or police or traffic control if they're there working to provide the service. I think we've accommodated something like this in the past. I think
Yes.
more of a Sean question, and I think that, if we figure out what it is that we can do, we'll be more than happy to get back to
Could
them.
we
I mean,
do
they
a simple licensing agreement with passes that went with it?
Sure, I mean, we've done that in the past.
Yeah, so I think we need to do it again.
Ed, can you hear me? Eric and Ed, it's Chuck Bowman.
Yes.
Hey, Chuck.
Can
Hey.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Well, I'm president of the rescue center now, and AMCS split off to do their necropsies. But just to make it simpler, the trustees, the police, Coast Guard have always been common. We've never had any problems in taking our trucks on the beach for whatever purpose it was. And again, when the necropsies occurred in Southampton, the trustees were involved because it's on your beach, and usually it's buried in the dunes. The same way that, you know, when we're responding to a live animal, you know, not for anything, we've always just driven on the beach and picked it up because we're working under NOAA and DEC's response. So I don't know if it's really necessary. It never has been for the 20 years that I've been doing this. And that's
Well,
just my two
But
cents.
the reality is that last year they did get some tickets. They had vehicles parked with some of the staff that was providing the cropsy, and they ended up getting tickets. And then we had to go through the whole action of, you know.
No, that's
notifying the
fine.
judge.
I'm just saying that
Yeah.
I don't know what officers would give them tickets, but usually it's village or town police that are usually very.
Right, but so the vehicles are parked there, and they're down, and you know, they may be
Yeah.
parked on the access road, and then they're
Right.
down there. They don't drive on the beach, but they're down there doing the activity, you know, whatever, buried in a dead whale, and then they come back to a parking ticket, which ultimately turns
Yeah,
into
like
a
I say,
telephone call to whatever. There's a way to.
Scott,
I
why
would
don't we
agree
just give them a
wholeheartedly.
certificate they can put in the window?
Yeah,
Well,
right. That's
what
what
I'm
we've
asking
normally
the
done.
board and
You know,
Kathy to do.
something similar like that. And, you know, I know the rescue center, when we're responding to live animals, I mean, we're on the beach and off in usually in an hour's time, you know, unless it's an animal that we have to euthanize, you know, so, you know, whatever you do for AMCS, which is great, you know, maybe we could, I'll write you a letter and ask it for the rescue center too, to have something in the front of the trucks, you know. But if you don't mind, one moment, I know our organization, we responded to probably over 45 sea turtles in this last cold stun season that we've taken care of. Is the highest we've ever had. Probably half are in Southampton town, half are in East Hampton town. And, you know, it's been tough raising money to take care of them. That's for sure. Most of them are Kemp Ridleys, which are highly endangered. And I don't know, given the budget situation, whether the trustees would give any consideration. And we're asking everybody, you know, seals are one thing. I think we have an overpopulation now of seals. We do respond, we have tanks for limited to 5, although we've been up to 10 seals at a time because there's so many. But I think the sea turtles have been increasing in our bays. We even had one loggerhead that nested, actually a Kemp Ridley nested up at Breezy Point, which is the first one that ever nested on Long Island. And I think it's just real important to try and concentrate on promoting the public and the health of the sea turtle populations here. So,
Right.
so, you know, I know the budget's tough, you know, but it never hurts to ask because you can only just be told no, you know, so.
Right. Well, we really, I mean, I don't think we're in a position to engage in that right now. I mean, we got a lot of things that we got ahead of us here, and then we got to look at.
I know.
Personally, I donate to a lot of these causes, you know, and it's all good. Right now, I'm just trying.
You know, that's all I do is donate, you know, so
Yeah.
that's why I'm president, and you know, I've given them.
I think the very least that we could do as trustees, town, you know, regulators, is that when we do have folks like yourself come on that's providing a valuable service to the resource, is that we don't, you know, give you tickets, you know what I mean? Give you an extra headache.
Definitely.
And let you be able to just properly identify your vehicles, and you're there for a stranding. And we don't create all these other phone calls and the judge and everything else when you're just trying to do your job. I just think it's a matter of education to the public and to the law enforcement of what, you know, this vehicle or these folks are engaging in. I just wanted to.
Well, just so you know, the state budget, and we get all of $50,000 from the state of New York a year. They still owe us for last year. They haven't paid. And, you know, I would imagine that they're not even going to be able to have a budget this year, you know, for the response program. NOAA gives us nothing. So it's all a matter of just raising the money themselves.
Right.
You know.
And here we are, the trustees, with most of our infrastructure held together by duct tape and bubble gum.
I know. I know.
And Scott, don't forget the $70,000 a year that we spend on the Plover program, the unfunded mandate.
Yeah, maintaining public access for everybody, and it's incumbent upon the landowners, but because we want to maintain a terrific endangered species program, and we want to maintain maximum public access, we take that on. It's important for our community. So I mean,
Scott, we're all on the same side. I understand, but I would be, I have to ask as my position. I have to ask. I don't mind being told.
Regardless of what the budget is. Regardless of what the budget is of the town trustees, we're all people, and we could all help you out personally if that's what we want to do. So it's a good ask.
I'll take you up on that.
It's a good ask, and I'll help you out.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott.
Maybe you can run an offshore tournament for protect the sea
we had to
turtles.
cancel that this year. Even Big Brothers.
Well, we've cut our response back to the SEALs. I mean, they don't really need our help anymore.
So back to this at hand here. This letter that I have here from them, and obviously the ask from Chuck. I mean, is there something we can do to make life easy for these people?
How about some kind of placard that they can put in the windshield that identifies them? Like we've done in the past.
We don't have to answer the question now of what the solution is. It could be a simple letter on the dashboard. I don't know. But can we at least work on this together with Sean and give these folks something to make life a little easier? That's all. Can we agree to that?
A simple letter on the trustees' web with the trustees heading on,
I think that they should.
Would be easy, like we do for the sailing down in Fort Pond. We give out these placards all the time.
But if the associations provided us, a list of the vehicles and the plate numbers, I think there would be also accountability towards it. I think it's a fair ask, and I think it's a fair ask for us to have, okay, give us how many vehicles, what are they, and what's the plate number? You know what I mean? And they could stick something on the dash and go do their necropsy without a hassle and move on their way.
Right.
That's all.
Okay. We'll work something out.
Okay.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah. The only other thing
wait, Sean is talking here for a second.
I think it really just comes down to granting permission to go on that land. There's nothing you're going to stop a police officer or code enforcement officer from issuing a ticket. But if that permission is granted and there's consent, that's something the judge can look at in a local.
Well, could we provide a letter that they could sit on their dash that says that that it has authorization to be engaging in this to kind of eliminate the getting the ticket?
You could try it, but you have many agencies at play here.
Right. I get it. I mean, and I did that job too, and discretion does come into play. And I think that if you roll up on the vehicle and you see what's going on, and you see this letter sitting there that says, hey, we're engaging in whatever. All right, let me check this out before I write this, and it just saves a big step for everybody. And then I got the phone calls when folks got back to their cars after engaging in this for hours. Mm-hmm. It just has got to be a better way.
Right.
I don't think it's that hard.
Right.
I mean, we could maybe send a letter over to local agencies, something to that effect, asking that they cooperate. But that's, like I said, we can't bind law enforcement agencies.
No, I get that. But I think that if, we can identify, it's almost like sometimes, even on a rescue where it's an emergency situation, if you need help to do whatever it is that you're doing, I think we should be more accommodating than, than not.
Well, having the letter drawn up and having them given them permission will help too if they do get a ticket.
Okay.
If I can make a suggestion, in Sandy, on a lot of the towns, we had a little placard that said it was a response, and you just stuck it on the dashboard, and that was fine. That's all that's probably all that you need,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm just trying to get the boards,
Right.
Just trying to, all work together to find a solution so that, folks like Chuck can do what he's got to do and not end up with an additional hassle or issue at the end of the day.
Right. Right.
I don't want a ticket either.
No.
All right. We'll work on it with the town attorney. We'll put that on the list.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks,
Yep.
guys.
Okay.
The other thing I want
Write
to
it down.
write down, the only thing I want to get out to the board is I had a long conversation with Ron Barnish from South Shore Docks relative to Baycrest. And although the town has extended his contract for a year because of the COVID-19 shutdowns and everything that's gone on and has been going on, he believes he'll be able to wrap that project up in July. Okay.
Right.
Going to have a couple of tweaks that we'll talk about in the next few weeks because there was some things that have to be discussed. And Merrick, can meet you down there because I know you worked on his project plans,
Yep.
way back in the day. But the capping of it, we'll have to make some decisions on the capping of it and some ice-breaker piles, things like that. So, but the slab, he's working on getting that slab because, obviously those companies got shut down too. So you have the delays and then hopefully, we'll be having this thing wrapped up here midsummer.
Right.
So I'll get a meeting together with you and then we could take a run down there at some point in time.
Okay.
Socially distant, of course.
Okay. I don't know whether you're aware of this or not, Scott, but CPF has bought the house across from the dock there, the one with the bridge going to it.
Oh, no, that's
That might
news
be a
to me.
great trustee office, huh?
Wow. I didn't know that.
A lot of mosquitoes.
Okay.
We'll get through the pandemic just in time for the West Nile.
Right. And the ticks. Right. Okay, great. Anything else, Scott, right now?
No, I just wanted to get the board up to speed on
Okay.
those two issues in the letter that I got.
Okay, Chuck, we'll be in touch.
Eric, I have a couple
Okay.
subjects.
Sure.
First, Billy, Scholar Pond Road. I talked to Sean the other day about getting the quitclaim deed signed, and I know there was a proposal to get Squires and Holden to do a meets and bounds survey or whatever we needed. Should we move forward on that, Bill?
Yes, I'm actually going down there tomorrow to Squires and Hold and see where it stands.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, because I had some concerns because there was a document that was drawn up already and it had a very detailed meets and bounds description for filing purposes. So I'm kind of questioning, did we have, and I know Sean went down and talked to them and they said that they didn't prepare a survey.
Yeah,
But-
I had it on the phone actually, and I said, I'm not sure if this is a meets and bounds description or an estimate for a meets and bounds description. They didn't seem to have any purchase record from us. It may be possible though, that the trustees had ordered a meets and bounds description in the past. There was no certificate or, I merely had a copy of this document of the description in the file. So, I know,
but in order to get that description of that meets and bounds with that in that precise terminology on there, you'd have to go out there with surveying instruments and do it anyway. So I don't understand, how they can't have, drawn up something on that unless another surveyor did do the surveys.
Well, I know that surrounding areas were surveyed that are owned by the Psalms. So it's possible that, it could have been a rough estimate based on those surrounding surveys. The surveyor's the only one who really knows whether that's an official meets and bounds. If they can provide us a new copy of that with some kind of seal on it, that would be fantastic. The county clerk's office has assured me they will accept that, and the Psalms have entertained signing that quitclaim deed. So we just need to make sure it's accurate, and then we can get this deal done finally.
Okay, so you asked them if they had a commission from the trustees, but did you ask them? So they said that Psalms had done a survey already?
We had surveys done of their surrounding lands.
Oh, okay. So it's been done. So you comfortable with using those meets and bounds? I mean, it looks like that document was ready to go.
I prefer we have at least the surveyor saying that's an accurate meets and bounds description.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to forward that to the Psalms. Their attorney will review, and then we can sit down and have them sign this.
Would it be possible to get a copy of the survey that was guaranteed to the Psalms? so we can verify it?
We could request
We
it.
need their permission.
Yeah, no, I know. No, I mean, he's been in contact with them.
Eric, this is.
Just trying to
this
find
is
out the
about
least
2 years. This
costly
was
way
done
of doing
about
it.
2 years before I became a trustee, which would be about 16 years ago.
I know, I'm not trying to prolong it. I'm just trying to,
No, I
not
tried
have
working
to
on it.
spend additional $2,000 or something for a
I know.
survey. All the work's been done already on it.
It is
Yes.
possible it's already been paid for. That's what
Right.
Bill and I had discussed. We're going to speak with the survey company and see if they have a record of payment and they can put a new letterhead on it with a new date and guarantee it to us. Then perfect. We can file that with the deed that was just drawn up. We get that over to the county clerk's office. We record the conveyance and it's done.
Okay. And if he can't do that and he needs, and he wants to charge for a survey, if you feel that we need a survey, could you get a price on that so we can, shop around a little bit? And
That's what we're looking for. So if
Okay.
it's not an official meets and bounds survey, we're looking for an estimate. It's my
Okay.
understanding anything over 1,000, we need a resolution for and public comment. Under 1,000, you have the ability to authorize that. So that's up to all of you.
Okay. Okay. Are they a town vendor?
I'm not
They might be.
You just consult with Mr. McDonald. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Sean, are you in tomorrow?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I'll give you a call when I go down there.
Perfect.
I might pick you up.
Great.
Okay.
Social distancing.
Yes.
You're where I'm at.
You can find
Well,
it
it'd be good to get this thing cleaned up because that's probably one of the most beautiful places in Southampton town, and we need the access to that
Yes.
locked in.
Right. And I
And
think
we did the land swap in good faith, and we've not gotten anything back, Eric. So
Well, it's not because of them, it's because of other issues.
right.
we
It
know.
appears the deed was never drawn up. So that was the heavy lifting on this. It's completed. We just need to make sure it's completely accurate. And then they're agreeing to sign that.
Okay, great.
all right.
Good
And that's
job.
only the portion that goes to the water, not the rest of the road, right?
Correct.
The original road, across the bridge and everything. Okay. Okay. Anything else?
I have. I got an email from Altazullo. I guess there's going to be a boat party somewhere by the canal next weekend. The Bay Constables are not in favor of it, similar to like they have at Barcelona, basically lots of boats being parked out there close to the navigable channel that comes out of the canal. So he asked me to bring it up to everybody's attention and get some kind of, basically poll which direction.
What's the problem with it? Yeah, you can.
They're going to have a Rock the Boat party for Rumba next weekend in Common Point Cove.
What's
Very
the problem
similar to
with
like
it?
they do at Barcelona.
What's the problem with it? I don't see it. I mean, because it's near that channel, can't they just keep
Yes.
the channel? Can't they just keep the channel open between? You pull out of the southern side of the Shinnecock Canal and you hook off to the east.
Well,
and
I
just-
mean, these boat parties have turned into a real headache in the past for us.
But I get it. But you know what? People need they need to be able to vent. They need to be able to have some type of fun. I don't think it's a good idea to be shutting down everybody's fun. You go to Florida and you got gigantic sandbar parties that are way bigger than I could ever imagine that we would see here. And the police are there, the fire boat's there, everybody's cool.
I was just asked to bring it up, Scott.
Yeah,
Yeah, no problem.
I don't see the harm personally. I don't see it being close enough to that channel to really make an issue.
Well, let's let it up. Let's let it up to the Bay Constable's discretion on if it becomes an unsafe condition, and they can,
They
move
have
people
notified the
around.
Coast Guard.
People got to
What?
maintain. They
They
got to
have
maintain.
notified the Coast Guard, and the regional sector is supposed to chime in on it.
That's fine, but I think
So that's where I'm going to leave it at. I'm just bringing it up for
Okay.
everybody's
right.
knowledge.
Okay.
I dangerous is one thing, but if you got a group of boats that want to anchor up and enjoy life out here in Hampton Bays in a responsible,
Right.
CDC compliant fashion, I'm sure they can stay out of the navigable channel and you could facilitate people living their lives.
Right, right.
All right, I have one other
I agree.
thing.
I agree.
I have one other thing on Road H. I reached out to Jim Walker, Inner Science. They're the ones that originally had drawn up the plans for the marina, the boat basin to be, done over. So I'm going to meet with Jim Walker, go over it and get a proposal on what it would cost for a set of plans on the proposed work that we're looking to do over there.
Okay.
Okay.
So that we'll have something to look at as a board and an actual, then we can put it out to bid because it's going to be, I figure it's going to be at least over $25,000 by the time we get everything all said and done there.
Okay. Yeah, and if you could give me a number of piles that are going to be taken out of there so we can
Yes,
cut them down and reuse them down in Eastport, because I want to,
Yep.
That's what I was going to bring up too, about fixing that Eastport dock down
Yep.
that we can
Well, I'm
recycle.
going to start work on that with Jim this afternoon. If we get done in the meeting early, I'm going to go over and meet with him, go over some kind of basic plans. So I just want everybody to know that's where I'm headed with this. So we got something
Okay.
to look at. All right.
Yep, we're going to try to do Eastport, try to do most of it in-house.
Yep. Okay. That's it for me.
I have a couple of things. They're going to start the plant down at Agawam on the 26th, a week from this Friday, to replant along there. I let the Richie know in maintenance so he can look out for it and the village. And I'll take pictures so you got what it will look like when it's done.
Are
So
they going to
that's
do
it.
maintenance on that, Billy? Future maintenance of that garden?
Yeah, for the first year, they're going to do future maintenance, and he's going to give us a price on what it would cost each year.
Okay.
So that's the Lake Agawam Conservancy that's
Yes.
through donations that is going to totally restore the trustee-owned rain garden at the end of Agawam.
Approximately, they're going to spend about $30,000 down there
Mhm.
with the plants. Something what we could
Right.
afford. Joint effort. The next thing I spoke to Scott about this, about the trustees helping the Bay Constables do the final inspections. We would do the final inspections, and if they don't come in compliance, we would call the Bay Constables. They would come down and issue the people a citation for the final completion of the docks.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's for us to think about. East Hampton already does it. Each trustee in their area inspects their own docks when the job is done.
Right, and I talked to Bill about this, and I told him what my concern was, and I'm all for helping out whoever I got to help out, especially the Bay Constables. But the reality, the way I see it, is that that's the town's responsibility to be doing those inspections, and that was all part of that stipulation of settlement from 1993. And I think that if they don't have enough manpower to do that, I think that they need to increase the Bay Constable budget, even if it's with a seasonal employee or a seasonal constable that could do those inspections. It's their responsibility. That's what the deal was back in 1993. If the trustees take that back on, that's one more thing they let them out of that deal. And that's one more thing that gets added on to the list that, I get what Bill's saying because they can't get done throughout the summer. And it creates issues when properties are selling and people want these compliance checks to make sure they're not buying a big headache. And I fully understand that. I fully understand the amount of pressure that there is on the waterway for our constables to protect and defend. That being said, it's really the town's responsibility to provide the necessary personnel to get that job done. And if we take that on as elected officials, I don't know if that's the direction to go. It may sound like we're going to help you out right out of the gate, but it also, I think, interrupts, checks and balances, from a compliance standpoint and I think it warrants, it's definitely an issue that Bill's talking about. It's clearly an issue. And I think that we need to work collectively as a board to figure out what the solution is to accomplish what needs to be done there. Because Bill's right. There needs to be an ability to get those inspections done 100%. He's 100%.
Right.
It's just that, how do we achieve that? and how to, how do you stay within the responsibilities of who's supposed to be providing that service? And based on the fact that the constables are supposed to be providing these services to the trustees, they're short-staffed, they're understaffed.
Right.
And I think the answer is not necessarily more full-time staff, but appropriate seasonal staff to take the pressure off and get.
No, I agree, Scott, because that stipulation, the settlement said that the Bay constables were, that we had direct control over them also. And I feel that is a responsibility for them to go around and inspect these. A lot of people don't realize, you get seven Bay constables, but that means there's only 2 on duty at any time, owing to days off and training and everything like that. So I think the answer is some sort of seasonal person to just perform those duties and to catch up on all these completion notices, because it puts a lot of pressure on people selling their houses. Their contracts are ready to go and they don't have a completion on it, and fees have to be held in escrow, and it builds up the cost. So we've been trying as good as we can to take care of the crazy situations that occur, but I think we have to clean this up.
Yeah, Bill's right, bringing it to the attention and our attention, and getting us to work on something. But I really think that we need to perhaps have another little meeting specific to this, relative to personnel, and the fact that we all have responsibilities, and I think that we need to work on this.
Well, Scott, you and I did look into having the building department do these inspections and charge like $500 for some kind of a CO from the town and us, and that didn't go very far. So, and I think being the Bay Constables are a shared resource, and if that resource is getting depleted, it's up to the town to put some more bodies on it. It really is.
I mean, that whole thing that we looked into in the past, it got to be, in my opinion, way more complex and way too cumbersome, especially for the applicants. I think that the solution here is a lot easier, and that is your town is growing. The pressure on our resources has clearly grown. My email blowing up all spring, as I know you guys too, with people wanting enforcement of all types of regulations and protection for the resources. And I think that there's only so many hours in a day. Our constables work very hard doing that, but they get spread thin. I think that it's not unreasonable for a town of our size, with everything that we have at stake to protect, to add some more seasonal Bay constables that can help with watching out for all the crabbing and activities that go on in Mecox. And that those phone calls are going to be starting very, very soon. With everybody. Huh?
It already started.
So that's going to be
crabbing
happening.
Season already.
Right. So all that's going to be happening. So during the day, you got these inspections that can be getting done. And then during the evening, you've got all this protection of resources that can be getting done. We've got all these sanctuaries throughout the town. It's not unreasonable, and the budget's not huge for something like that. And I really think that that's a responsibility, is protecting the natural resources and public safety. And here we are talking about people wanting to have fun on the waterway, Bay constables. Okay. So, like I said, I spoke to the chief a few weeks ago. I told him I felt we needed some more part-time Bay constables to help them out. Maybe we need to have a discussion with the supervisor.
Okay.
I agree with Scott.
I will. I'll have a discussion with him. I'll write that down too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Bill, you want to work, jointly on this? I'd be more than happy to work.
Yeah, we between me and you, we can work on it.
Fine.
Okay, great.
I have a couple things to add, but seeing as there's several consultants waiting, I can do it after the work session.
Okay, we can move into the work session and then resume, reports of different board members.
President Schultz, if you want to address 27 Pearson, I did just reread the permit application. I believe the language there is sufficient. You have made a full inquiry on a public meeting. I don't think we need any more specific language. While I just wanted to catch you while we're still on the public portion here. I don't think we really need to tweak that language much, if at all.
Okay.
So
Good.
it doesn't, is this the one with the extended property lines?
Yes.
It specifically does say the board may consider objections or lack thereof of abutting landowners. You have done that. So I think you're covered.
But it doesn't say, but does it say about, does the dock go out extension beyond the extended property line?
Yes.
Yes, but it depends on the definition of projecting property lines. Like some
conversely
schools
to
of
what
thought,
Sean's
it's
saying-
perpendicular, or in perpendicular to shoreline, which this one complies with, and with other decisions, it's the property line extending out into the waterway. But in normal circumstances, you would deal with this in a residential neighborhood, but this being preserved land, there's not going to be that.
Could you just, in the resolution, just amend, just to state that the adjoining property owner is the county of Suffolk, is it preserved property or whatever it is?
Sure, we can do that. I think
We
that's.
could put a finding statement in there. Okay,
Sure.
Sean?
You'd have
I
to
just think
and
it's better
amend.
for the board to distinguish this from a standard application we would work on with two adjoining buildable property owners. I think it's just better to set that in as part of the record.
Right, all I'm saying is this public meeting is part of the record, but we certainly can duplicate that and put it on the resolution itself.
You'd have to recall and amend the resolution to add that language.
I just think it would better serve the board that this would be distinguished from other properties because of that. It would just, that's my view.
Okay,
You can
instead of
disagree-
recalling and
disagree with that,
amending,
That's fine. I just think since you're going out over extended property, I just think it's safer for the board to distinguish the facts that this is different than other properties relative to this permit. That's just my view.
okay. So how about this then? Instead of recalling and amending and all that business there, then we keep it the same. Instead of saying pending approval of the town attorney, that the town attorney will submit a finding statement attached to this. How's
That's a
that?
Sean question.
How's that?
As long as Sean's satisfied, I'm satisfied. I raised a concern. I'll leave it to the council to clean it up.
I think you're well within your bounds on this one. It never hurts to be more specific, so we can do that.
Okay. Okay. Subject to a finding statement, which was the same as you're looking into it and approving it. So it basically, we're at the same point
Okay.
where we were when we approved it.
I
Okay.
have a technical question, please. How is Sean adding language to this resolution without recalling and amending it to add that language?
Okay. So, all right. So what would you like to do? Recall and amend it? That's subject to the town attorney, add a finding statement?
You would need to recall and amend to add language to a resolution that's already been adopted. You can do it now, or we could do it at the next meeting.
Well, to recall and amend, what we had said originally was that the town attorney was going to look into the matter, correct? Was going to,
Well, when you say you're going to add a finding statement, you're just going to add that to the file? You're going to add
Just-
that to the record?
just saying that the reasons, well, we've already said the reasons on air about why we were going in this direction. So basically, it's just putting that into wording.
Right, so if he's going to add a finding statement to the record, is there a need to change this language?
Well, the record, your resolution is your record of what happened with this permit.
But it's also on the minutes are going to reflect the discussion, as Sean said, that's part of the record, right?
my belief, it needs to be, the language needs to be added to the resolution to make it clear.
So if you'd like, do an oral amendment and add that specific language to your resolution right now. Because
Okay.
that's the only modification we're going to make anyways, is that Suffolk is the owner.
Yeah, so Sean, do you
Okay.
want to work with me on that language so we could recall and amend, and then you and I can work on the actual language to add to the resolution?
Well, I was under the impression.
Well, I think it could be really simple. It's just put whereas the adjoining property is preserved property and there will not be any docks placed, that the trustees are in favor of permitting the dock to be erected in this location.
Yeah, I think it protects the board, helps the board.
So
Okay.
If-
So you want to make that motion to recall, Eric, to add
Yes, I'll
that
make it.
language?
Yes, I'll make the motion to recall the amendment to add further language to the modification.
Sean, were you going to say something?
I was going to suggest the same, that you do it on the record right now if you want to take care of it.
Okay. Do we have a
Otherwise,
second on that?
A
To recall
second.
the amendment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So to add
Okay.
the language to the original was that being that the adjoining property is preserved land
Owned by the county of Suffolk.
owned by the county of Suffolk, that the trustees.
And it won't be improved.
That what?
It won't be improved.
That won't be
So-
improved, right? That sounds good.
Okay, so there's motion on,
Therefore,
okay,
yeah, therefore, we approve the modification of the dock location to take place as per the plans, modified plans submitted.
I'll second it.
okay, that's just on the recall and amend. Now you have to adopt as amended.
Okay, first we have to do the recall and amend. Okay, make that motion.
I
Scott
seconded it.
seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and the second motion will be adopted as amended.
Adopted
need a
as
second.
amended. I mean,
I'll second his adoption as amended.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So carried.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks,
Thanks,
Lisa.
John.
Okay. Okay, let's get into the work session. So James, if you're ready to go, Aldi and Brenda Aboof, 16 Fanning Drive, West Hampton.
Just let me know what you want to see.
Well, show the, this is for a wood chip path, a 4 by 160 foot open grade catwalk. But before we start, this was in the village of West Hampton Beach. We discussed this last time and I've been trying to get in touch with them. And I was reluctant to approve a dock permit when, you know, all the pathway and all of the structure above the marsh is within the jurisdiction of the village of West Hampton Beach. And I'm not clear on if they had given them a permit yet. And I didn't want to give a permit for a dock when their environmental council may be objecting to this. Have we received any information from West Hampton Beach yet?
No, we have not.
No. Okay. Is the applicant's attorney here? I mean,
Well, I'm here, Eric.
okay. So where are we on that?
You know, well, I can tell you what we've done. We've submitted an attorney's letter, I think, to your office as well as, and which shows that Mr. Abuaf has a right to use this. Actually, he has 2 houses on it. It's a private road. The village of West Hampton doesn't have anything to do with the road, the maintenance, the use of the road, the use of the right-of-way. And also within the village of West Hampton, they've never issued a dock approval that I know of.
No, not a
because-
dock approval, but the only thing that's in our jurisdiction is the seasonal ramp. And probably if we can bring that up.
Right, and if you look at that, and you do have an attorney's letter that they have the right to do this, because again, it's privately owned and in the deed to Mr. Abuoff that he bought, right here, it says that he has the right to access Moneybog Bay over this unimproved area. I mean, yes, is it a turnaround? It'll never get improved. It's all wetlands. That's why we just have a wood chip path.
Yeah, but
it
who
seems-
granted him the right to go across there to access the water? Did a governmental agency do that, or just
Well,
the
when-
previous
in the
landowner?
Oh, it was a subdivision. In fact, when I was with DEC, I did the acquisition of the Moneybog Bay Wetland Preserve that basically surrounds this whole area. And one of the reasons the state didn't buy this is that they didn't want to cut off the access of anybody on Fanning Drive that was a private road. So they were just paying for the marshland. But that's how
Right.
the preserve came into effect. And the road stays the same. The same way, if you look at the map, it says Library Avenue Extension. That goes across lands. That'll never happen. You know, you'd end up having to have a road across to fill in the wetlands to put the road in. But it's a private road.
Right, but the Village of West Hampton Beach is going to have to approve the proposed open grade catwalk across the marsh. That's a structure.
No, they do not. Most of the catwalks across the marshes in West Hampton, the village, all they want to see is their DEC approval and trustee approval when, of course, you hit the high water mark, and Army Corps approval. The Village of West Hampton doesn't have approval for catwalks, and there's lots of them all over West Hampton.
Saying that the
They
Village
do-
of West Hampton Beach does not, their building department doesn't approve any of those catwalks? There's no code to those, the way they're constructed or anything?
Nope, they look to DEC and the trustees, for it. No, they don't. Village of Quogue does now, actually fairly recently, but Village of West Hampton do not.
They used to.
You're asking for if it's a building permit, but even if there was a building permit, which I don't believe there is in this case, any agency would ask for your approval as well as the DEC approval before they would even entertain it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to issue a building permit unless you have your DEC and trustee approval. No agency will, no building department.
Well, this gets back into the question is how is the DEC giving a permit on somebody else's property, i.e. the trustees, without the owner's endorsement? That's the trustees. So you get a letter, get a letter in the beginning that says you need an owner's endorsement, right?
No, I think you're getting a little far afield here because the DEC, says right in their permits, it's subject to any other permits that are necessary. Army Corps, you guys, just like your permits say, doesn't relieve you of getting other permits that are necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck, may I ask a question? It
Sure.
states that the float is seasonal, correct?
Correct. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Where is it to be stored, please?
Oh, it would actually be taken out by water and probably taken to, South Shore Docks or one of the others where they just keep them in the upland for the winter time.
Could we
Not
put,
If it was approved, that would be one of the conditions that it can't be stored on the upland.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hey, you want to, James, you want to show the other details of the application?
This or the.
Well, you have to have pictures involved with it also. Show the board. So this is another one where it's elevated 4 feet above the marsh.
Just the intertidal marsh. It's a low profile, it's the high marsh.
Right. Okay. Okay, so that's where the catwalk's gonna go across.
Correct.
Yep. Okay,
There's an old, like, old berm where they never extended the road out, Eric,
right,
and it
Right.
just ends, you know.
right. Mm-hmm. Do you have, if you have side elevations, and depths? It's not very clear on that.
It's to be chalk too, right, Chuck?
Yeah, and there's actually sufficient water there. It meets your
Yes.
standards.
Yes.
And I think the
Yeah, it's pretty
cross-
standard. It's a wide water body. It's not going to impact channels or anything. I was just concerned about, not having coordination with West Hampton Beach. I'm not sure that you don't. I can't see how the village would be not requiring a building permit on this structure.
I'm telling you, Eric, in 20 years, I've never seen a building permit issued for it. And now Quag, of course, you have to get a bulkhead or a dock permit because they changed their ordinance. But before that, and actually in most villages and towns, you just need the DEC because, they don't want to be responsible for that. And it's your bottom, so.
Well, yeah, I know, but we've had some instances 2 or 3 years ago where the building department was questioning some of the structures that were going on in Moneybog Bay. So that's given me a little bit of a conflicting sense on this.
No, that's
I think they're gonna.
okay. But anyway, even if there was, we couldn't even apply unless we had your approval and DEC and Army Corps, because they say, where's your other permits?
Right, our permit's gonna mandate that you go to all the other agencies and get in compliance with all of their regulations as well, right?
Right,
So-
and that's what all the other ones say too.
Where are you at on our Blue Book regulations with this project?
Oh, he complies with our Blue Book, but I just didn't want to give, if the village was opposed to this, I didn't want to give extra ammunition against them, that we're granting permits and things that is
Well-
contrary to what they want to do in that area,
Yeah, well, they could have different concerns. I mean, different regulatory authorities have different concerns. And I guess if we spoke for ours, I mean, obviously, like U.S. Fish and Wildlife has no problem speaking for theirs, especially when it's in conflict with ours on opening meatcocks per se. So, I mean, if he's meeting Blue Book regulations, I mean, you're concerned. I'm concerned just like you, obviously, on things. But I guess, if he meets our Blue Book test.
And he does have a DEC permit now, right? Correct, Chuck?
The DEC permit has not been issued yet. It's going to be though. They're behind now.
Oh. Okay. All right, well, we make the decisions on all waters, so.
Oh, you make it on your own. They make it on their own.
Yeah.
Army Corps makes it on their own.
I mean, if you've done the due diligence, Eric, and
yeah,
if
it
you're-
complies. It complies.
Yeah, I mean, if you're confident in the project from the trustee's standpoint, if you can say to me as a, colleague here on the board that, hey, I looked at it, the project looks good and it complies with the Blue Book,
If it was in town waters and town-owned marshland, in our jurisdiction, totally within the township, I would approve it.
Right. So it's on our bottom, right?
Right.
So if it's on our bottom, I mean, I'm good with what you got going on if it meets the Blue Book.
Let's move it forward
That's
then.
just me, but the other board members can speak up, but it sounds to me like you've done a terrific job on the due diligence here.
Okay, let's move it forward. I'll make, I'm in favor of moving it forward. Okay, everybody okay?
Mhm.
Okay.
This next one is 11 Reynolds. Chuck, if you just want to stay on.
Yeah.
Eric, it's your area.
Right.
One I've
But you've been working on this for a while, right?
Yeah. So, Chuck.
Rocks again.
Rock on the hard place.
Yep. So I spoke with DEC.
Okay, great.
They are in favor of the living shorelines. They would just like a little bit more verbiage to show justification of how we got to the living shorelines decision. And they'd like,
The plan that you and I worked together, they would approve that?
yep,
Okay, great. Yeah,
they
that's
just like,
great.
they just like a little bit of verbiage. So what he termed an alternative analysis, showing what other options were investigated and why we ended up choosing what we chose. So,
Okay, and
Okay.
if I could, if you could just shoot me an email and just say
Say
you want
that?
an alternative analysis and say that.
Okay,
Because the only alternative really was to do the plan that they wanted, and I agreed with you, this is a better plan. And so I can come up with some verbiage to send back to them. I just didn't want to keep going back and forth, you know.
of course. Yep. No, I'll do that. I'll send you that email.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
good. Then progress on
Thank you.
that one.
Yay.
Okay.
Are we
So we'll
holding
put that off
yet?
until we'll put that off until we have, you know, all that done, right?
Yep.
And-
Yeah, I'll get that done right
Well,
away. That's easy. You know.
Okay. So we can discuss it at the next meeting. Okay, so next one is Jameson Partners on 40 Griffing Avenue. This was that one that was in that little cove
Let me check.
there.
Chuck's
Colin.
got two with me.
Excuse me?
Chuck has two with me. I don't know if you wanted to get him finished up.
Oh, yeah, okay. Chuck's still there.
You want it, Chuck, you still there?
I'm here. Oh,
Sure.
yeah, absolutely.
You got 58, I tell you what, I've got 58 Sunset and I've got 60 Sunset. Right, those are you, Chuck?
Correct, yes.
Right, okay.
Okay,
That
conservation.
It's the habitat projects on both of those
Yeah,
lots.
you got two project, I'll give you a project description. So 58, intertidal marsh plantings, 6,430 square feet, Spartina alterniflora, high marsh diversity plantings, salt shrub diversity plantings, 1,000 square feet, upland diversity plantings, existing rock and slope maintenance, hand grade eroded areas, landward of top of existing rock, proposed low profile boulder sill. You've got various descriptions of stone boulders ranging from 800 to 1,200 pounds, geotextile fabric, proposed low sill boulders on the Phillips Creek side, also 800 to 1,200 pounds, geotextile fabric. You want to elaborate on your project?
Yeah, and I think maybe I can, I know, Ed, you probably know this site from many, many years ago. It was an old dredge spoil site.
Yeah.
Originally, it was all the shoreline, the bayside was covered with broken concrete. It's
Yeah.
kind of been a project of mine over many, 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 many years, that we did the subdivision with the original owner and removed the concrete, tried to create that as kind of a breakwater and a marsh on the bayside. The new owner at Phillips Point, he owns 58 and 60, is very much of a environmentalist, and he's put in thousands and thousands of wetland plants. What we're trying to do with this plan is just to enhance that on the bayside, which is, it's a terrific and very diverse marsh that we've created on the bayside. On the Phillips Creek side, they still get some significant erosion. But what we wanted to do is space out the boulders, which you see those black lines that you're pointing to right now, space them apart to create a wave break. And what that does, I didn't want to make it continuous because you get what's called a trombolo behind it, which is kind of a pyramid-shaped sand wedge that comes up behind that as a lee of the boulders, because you want some sandy beach, because the area can then be used by horseshoe crabs and by wading birds for foraging, but then we'll still be able to get some marsh growing. And all told, these two projects, it ends up being about 40,000 square feet of plantings that I think is going to be very beneficial. And not for anything, you don't get owners who are willing to do this very often. And anyway, I think the whole project compared, if you look at the aerial photographs, what it used to be before the subdivision to what it is now, the shoreline, I mean, it's just an incredible difference. So I use this example all over Long Island on how to do soft erosion control and habitat. So I think it's really a good project.
Unfortunately, it's a loss of a little recreational beach that a lot of people from East Quogue used to use. And as a matter of fact, I was the one who called the Bay Constables when the previous owner tore up his driveway and started dumping the rocks in the water. So when the subdivision,
Peter Delco did.
Way before that. Way before that.
Oh, okay. Because like I say,
before the subdivision even was created.
No, it was a mess. It
was old dredge spoil site. I've been on that site since I'm 5 years old, and playing in the muck up at the top, and a lot of people use that beach, that sandy beach, and the property owner who owned the large section went and dumped the debris in the water.
Yeah.
Then when it came up for the subdivision process, and I was on the planning board, we were trying to get those rocks and debris, concrete and asphalt taken out of the intertidal zone, and the DEC wouldn't permit it. They permitted the cleaning up of the beach, but they wouldn't permit taking the chunks of concrete out because some barnacles had attached to it. So
we actually, and I actually got it finally approved by DEC to take out most of the concrete. There's still some in there. It's subtitled, but it is pretty amazing, Eric. You have to admit, you walk along that marsh now, what's created on the bay side, it's really terrific. I don't know what else to say.
I've been down there several times, and it is. He's correct. It is terrific what's going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Eric, it's kind of interesting that the sandy beach between Sunset and Phillips's Point is now, it's going from Phillips's Point up towards the dock there. That's a beautiful sandy beach that's, taken over.
Well, yeah, the point. You remember Sunset Point there. Everybody used to hang out there and go clamming right along that bar that extends out into Shinnecock Bay. And that sand was along there. It was created by erosion, and it made a nice beach. The rocks, though, when the concrete was put down, it became hazardous to go along the beach. So it effectively shut the public's ability to go down to the point.
Yes, it did.
Well, we're not trying to cut off access. That's why I spaced the boulders out just so we could get some diversity of habitat. It's not going to interrupt any flow of sand. We're going to catch some behind some of the spaced boulders, and then we'll get some more diversity of vegetation behind it, and still have some sandy beach areas.
Well, but is anybody going to be able to access that by Sunset Avenue between the high and low water mark?
Well, anybody can walk along there now.
Right.
And they do.
If are you going to do plantings in that area?
The plantings, below high water, sure. There's going to be intertidal marsh, and above there's going to be marsh vegetation, but there is on the bay side too. If you park at Sunset, you can walk along the whole stretch of beach now.
Okay.
You can't now because a lot of the debris has been removed.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no fences. I mean, it's actually a beautiful walk.
Okay, so you're not proposing to put any plants in between the high and low water mark?
No, there's going to be some intertidal marsh. Yes.
So public's not going to be able to walk through that.
Well, no, they do along the bay side. It's all intertidal marsh and high marsh, Eric. Right now, along the bay side, it's the same thing.
There's a lot of grasses there now because of the debris that's been there has really held the sediment and allowed the grasses to flourish in the last 20 years.
Well, there's a lot of bog that was
Yes, there is.
towards Sunset Avenue, not as much down by the point.
Mhm.
Just so you
Guess
know,
I'm
that
dating
this
myself.
owner-
I remember when that was salt marsh.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But just so you know, I mean, there's been literally tens of thousands of plants, wetland plants and buffer area plants planted along this whole area. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And the diversity, I mean, you have sea lavender, you have alterniflora, you have patens, you have distic. I mean, I could go down this whole list. Now you have hermit crabs in there. I mean,
Right.
Right.
it's what
I
it
just
should
don't.
be.
I
It's
just don't like this.
species.
I just don't want it to happen. Is that significant plantings occur that bar the public from walking between the high and low water marks to get to the point.
Eric, I walk there all the time. Even when I'm not working, I take
Okay,
my
I mean
dog.
now, but if you add additional plants, which to put fencing around it and everything like that to preserve the plants.
No, we're not going to be doing
Okay.
that.
Okay.
The additional
Can't
plants
put-
are going to be,
Yeah, can't put
Above the
fence.
high tide mark,
yeah, no
above the high
fencing.
water mark.
Right. There's going to
Not-
be, yes, Spartina patens. They're going to be along the shoreline, the Phillips Creek side. There's going to be some alterniflora planted. And in fact, we've already been trying to plant alterniflora there. And because of the wave action, it hasn't taken that well. So that's why there's going to be sections of alterniflora, sections of patens, high marsh, some slope plantings in there. But I walk all the time from Sunset Avenue all the way around. It'll still have public access.
You have DEC permits for this yet?
Yes,
Yeah,
we submit.
didn't receive it. That's why we put it back on for work session.
Right.
Work session, you guys discussed it already.
Right. I mean, it's an excellent attempt to, as he said, a soft attempt at, kind of staving off the erosion that's been occurring there, and also an attempt to build a thriving wetland for horseshoe crabs and the hermit crabs and the birds. And when you go down to this property, you can clearly see that you're dealing with owners that are trying to be good stewards of the environment around them. It's evident. And I think a project like this is just further putting an exclamation point on that.
No, Scott,
And
I
like I say,
understand
this is-
that. I understand that. The point is, what I'm bringing up is that you can walk there now. Is the same amount of access going to be afforded after these plantings are planted as it is now?
Yes.
The
Yes.
access
Yes.
is certainly going to be there. The terrain is certainly going to be different if it's a successful project.
But
If
you're
it's
going to be
successful-
walking through these plantings, though, in order to
You'll-
get
you'll-
from
you'll
point
be-
A to point B.
Eric, the people are going to be walking above high water, just like they do along the bay side. That's where you walk. That's where the Spartina patens are, the disticus is, sea lavender. That's where you're going to be walking. And when you get over to the Phillips Creek side, it's going to be the same type of habitat, except they're going to be walking through some patens and disticus, and then you're going to get to some sandy beach, and then it's going to go into some plantings again, same kind of species. At high tide, you're not going to be walking in the water. There's still going to be access there. There's always access there. And if you want to walk below low water, it's the same type of thing. It's just going to be a little different. Same as on the bay side. Same exact thing.
But when the owner plants significant amount of, spends a significant amount of money in putting plantings, and someone's walking, hey, get off my plantings. Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
I've been doing this on this property, and you know how long this has been going on, for how many years. I have never seen either the previous owner or this owner ever harass anybody for walking in front of their property. I've never seen that, never heard of it. People stop at sunset all the time and take a walk.
Okay, as long as there's language in there that you can continue to have, access through there. And
Public
it's not
pass and
going to be-
repass.
public pass and repass, and not be, told not to step on the plantings, because you're gonna,
Yeah.
significant amount of
That-
money
that-
putting plantings in.
That goes without saying.
I
You
mean,
haven't done that
Yes.
to this, up to this point. You haven't proposed something to this scale. And there's a lot of money involved in this, and someone walking through there is gonna be saying, hey, that's just what I'm bringing up. Don't step on my plants that I spent all this money on.
I mean, Sean
No.
could make sure that the wording on this permit
Okay,
is going to indicate that, it's not going to supersede the public's ability to pass and repass, nor, change any of the trustee's authority or jurisdiction. I mean, Sean confident in being able to craft that into the terms and conditions.
Yeah,
okay,
the property owner must maintain a public passing way around his property. It's pretty simple to
Okay.
write into them
right, okay.
and to
No
enforce
problem.
it.
It's a valid concern, council hopefully can remedy that, but I think relative to the attempt at, restoring wetlands, staving off erosion and providing, habitat for horseshoes and hermits and birds, I think that, I think it's a good attempt. I think it's a good project.
Yeah, as long as we
but
can have a balance, that's all.
Yeah, your concerns are valid, and I think there
Mhm.
should be a way to remedy that.
This
I
is a
think that's
great example.
Eric, I agree that we have to strive for a balance.
Yes,
Good balance.
This is a great example of a living shoreline, and we need to work towards more examples of living shorelines so that they're in line with the coastal hazard program.
as long as it doesn't exclude the public.
I hear you.
No, and like I said, and I agree with you, I use this as an example all over Long Island, of the Bayside, of what really can be done, and works, so
Well,
I
this
I
would
would
be-
thank you all.
If this is a success, it would be a great example of basically a fetch of water that's at least 4, if not 5 miles to the
Right.
Concord
Yep.
Bridge.
It's pretty
wave
rough there.
action. If we could sustain this living shoreline here and allow public pass and repass, this would really be a wonderful project.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a very stressed area in terms of water quality, right?
Right.
With the accordion effect, with the Quad Canal, and the whole dynamics of that. And then we've also designated a good chunk of the western part of this area as the sanctuaries, right? So you got a lot of stuff going on here. So when you have a homeowner that's got this much, waterfront that wants to be this type of a steward towards helping us, I think it's a good project.
Well, his whole entire property is encumbered by our sanctuary, Scott.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. It's all a big sanctuary at this point in time.
Yeah.
So if we could get
So we're
this
doing
thing to
our part, and
thrive,
I think he's trying to do his part, but we just got to
Right.
make sure to protect and maintain public access. That's like, because
Right.
I've seen these projects around where people put boulders and rocks and try to preclude people from walking on the beach. So like Eric said, Sunset Avenue is a public road and this is a public beach. So we have to maintain that for everybody.
Yep. And I think that Sean could make sure that the permit language represents that.
Okay, okay. I've had my eye on this property for like 40 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're-
Maybe
you're 20
longer than that,
You're-
actually.
You're 20 years over what I've seen,
Mhm.
So it's good to get something like this to come to fruition, under the right conditions.
Yep. Okay,
All right.
sounds good.
All right.
Are
So we
we-
can move 58
ahead.
and 60 to the next meeting. Okay. As
So
a-
we're holding them, Eric?
No, we're going to let him go.
No,
We're advancing them.
yes,
Advance.
Okay. Thank you.
okay, so
Okay.
let's go back to Jameson Partners then. with,
Thanks, Chuck.
Okay, I'm leaving you guys. See ya.
See ya.
Chuck.
I'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you, Ann.
Jameson Partners, Cole Environmental, are they on? Anybody representing them?
Yes.
Okay, great.
So back in May, we attended a trustee work session. And the trustees indicated that they wanted a little more information on the boat lift that was being proposed. So we've sent in modified plans showing the boat lift and the pilings to address the issue of the low water at low tide at the property. So
Okay. Let's see a visual on that. If James could bring that up.
Real.
What was the details that you submitted on that? Did you have that, James, on that?
Which details?
The new details of the float
The jet
that he's referring to that they submitted.
lift.
the plan should be dated June 1st. Read the date. Yeah, those look to be the old.
These are old ones.
April 10th.
Yeah, I
16.
don't. They're not uploaded on here. Do you have them on your screen? Can you share?
I can email you a copy, James.
All right.
One
Email
second.
me a copy, please.
Can you share your screen, Chris, with the plans?
I'll just stop share and then I'll get the email.
Different computers. James. Just sent them over.
Give me 1 second and I'll have this up for you.
Thanks.
All right, so this is it, right?
Yep, that looks right. And then the cross section should show the boat lift. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know about everybody else, but I can't see the right-hand side of the details because there's everybody's video is on the side.
Can you press the minimize button on the top there, Eric, of the the screen?
Okay, got it. Okay, thanks. Okay, so this is a BH USA Coastal Series aluminum side mount boat sling.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is this boat sling? I haven't seen one of those. What is it? A strapping that rolls up and down on a screw mechanism or something?
Yeah, so it's strapping and it would allow the boat basically to come in and out at high tide. So, there wouldn't be it lowering. It'd be, going into the cradle at high tide and then coming out at high tide as well. So I think last time the consideration was the lack of water depths in the creek at low tide.
Yeah, so actually this works out better because you don't have to have all that cradle mechanism and everything. This can just lay it right on the bottom, so it's a lower profile type of boat.
Exactly. It's a simpler kind of style.
Mm-hmm. What type of boat are you thinking of putting in there?
So the client wants to have it's a Key West 185 FS, which is it's about just over 18 feet and draws about a foot of water.
Mhm.
You're not going to get much bigger boat in there with the depth of water.
No, no.
That's it.
Now, the question is, now we run into this situation. Have you gone out there and actually took a pole and stuck that down in there? Is that silt or is that, how far is it to hard bottom? Have you gone out there?
Yeah, it does go down a decent amount. It is soft. Because I would imagine, yeah, the creek is, all kind of muck over there.
Well, it is. It is in that whole area. I'm familiar with that whole area in there.
Mhm.
So, in actuality, the measurements that you have as far as the depth might be you might have a little bit more depth in there to hard bottom.
Yeah, I think if you push down, you could, show that there'd be deeper water than what's on there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, there is another floating boat lift that is on a property to the south.
Okay.
So I think this is a better solution than a larger structure there. What does the rest of the board think?
Fine with this.
Yeah, I think this is a good plan now.
Thanks, Chris,
I like
for
the
looking around for other options.
Yep, no problem.
Mhm.
Hey,
Now,
Chris,
there's a change here, though. You have there a proposed walk at grade with pea gravel with paver stepping stones. Wasn't that wood chips before?
Yeah, we had to clarify with the DEC, and that's just an option that the client wanted to do. Is there an issue with the trustees to do the pea gravel and pavers?
To try to keep it a little bit more natural, I don't know. It's not a real big deal. It's not going to be fertilized.
Clamshells? How about clamshells?
No, I don't think so. That's not really a big issue.
Okay.
It's upland anyway.
The more permeable surfaces, the better always.
Yep. Okay.
Sure. The only
One
thing
good thing
is,
about pavers, if you
Go
put
ahead.
them with the centers that are open, the grass will grow up through them.
Okay.
it also tends to be if you put pea gravel down and the weeds start growing in there, you're spraying Roundup all over the place.
I know.
So, I mean, wood chips would be preferable, or actually grass would be most preferable.
So grass and pavers would be a better option?
Yeah, if you put the pavers that have the
Yeah.
holes in the middle, and then the grass can grow up on them, and when you walk on them, you won't crush it. And it'll stabilize the ground, and they won't float away. The wood chips, if you get a big storm there, they'll just wash away.
Right.
And as the pea gravel could wash away, the pavers will stay there with the grass.
Well, it's going up a slope. I mean, so
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
know how
even
much
if you
of
just set the paving stones just right in the dirt and let the grass grow around it, type of thing.
Yeah.
Right, when you say grass, you don't mean
I mean,
turf,
just
fertilized.
unfertilized vegetation, grass, wild stuff mowed down.
Just wanted to
But
clarify
in the
that.
scheme of things, though, I mean, our jurisdiction is at the high water mark, so I mean, let the DEC decide on that.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm good with the plan now. It looks good. Viable option.
Great.
How does everybody else feel?
I'm fine with it.
That works.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, well, let's move it forward then.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, thanks a lot.
No problem.
Okay, so next up, Mark Harris, Green Harbor LLC, 12 Green Street, Village of Sag Harbor. Laura, are you here? Laura Kelly from Adam Miller Group. Okay, James, can you pull that up?
Just give me a minute here.
Sure. We've gone back and forth with Adam Miller Group, adjusting the placement of, this is a catwalk and dock out into Sag Harbor Cove. We went back and forth with Adam Miller Group, asking them to move the catwalk because it was within 10 feet of the neighboring property. So they relocated it, and then it extended outside the pier line. So we asked them to, the pier line in Sag Harbor Cove is 60 feet. So we asked them to rework the position of the dock. It is now in a L configuration. No, sorry.
Hearing, big boy, what's going on? No, I'm not. This is a Zoom public hearing. I'm good. Anywhere? No, nothing yet, dude. I just talked to you Friday. Exactly. Yeah. No, there's not. I mean, nothing going on.
Matt, mute yourself.
Sorry.
Matt, send the pizza over here.
Sorry about that.
Old Matt.
Don't want the pizza.
Okay, so you can see the catwalk in the green, the dock going out. There are we asked for chocks on the dock because it's quite close here to the James. It's close to the I think it was 2.3 feet of water, not quite the 2.6, the 2 feet 6 inches.
Yeah, this line here is 2 feet.
Right.
According to.
So it's just at the 2 feet 6 inches at the inside edge of the dock.
How long is the dock?
We asked them to bring it back so that it's within the 60 feet. That's why it's now L-shaped.
Okay.
60 feet from mean high water. The overall
Yes.
walk is 100.
104, 100. Yeah, but that goes up. There's a little bit of a bluff there. So there's some steps up onto the bluff, up onto the property itself.
So this
is a very new looking type of map here.
It's a little different. So the mean high water is this this pink line, and then mean low water is the blue. From mean high water, it's 60 feet out to the end. The overall length is 100, but that's including above mean high water.
So what is the depth the float is in? It looks like it's 1.14.
No, so the they have contour lines. The contour line is
Wow. Can we get a little bit more complicated on this?
Yeah,
I'm
trying to figure this one out. This is a new one for me.
This contour line is 2 feet right here, and then this contour line is 2.5.
If you look like sort of straight down, you'll see that it's 2.3.
Yeah, it's just something getting used to. It's the same as a regular topo map, but it's a bathymetric topography map. Okay.
Did you want to see the description on it, you guys? Because I think I started talking about it before the description of work was up. So 4 by 100 foot elevated catwalk, 26 8-inch posts, 3.5 by 12 hinged ramp, 4 by 6 floating dock, secured by 2 10-inch pilings. Proposed floating dock will have overall length of 116 feet. And the construction access will be partly by barge and partly by land through the applicant's property. Is there anything you see that needs to be addressed here?
You have a picture of the property?
Mhm.
You have any other pictures besides the overhead?
Oh, yeah, yeah, sorry.
How big is the float?
Yeah, why was the other docks in the area so much shorter in length there, it looked like?
Because
Like
a
the
lot of
one-
them,
Like the one to the south, is that water deeper there, closer to shore?
Not sure.
that's an old dock, Eric. That dock has
Oh,
been
okay.
there since the
Okay.
60s.
All right, so it's deteriorated, it's not maintained. Okay.
Yeah, and then the one to the north of it's an old dock that they just been piecing together for years and years. The majority of the docks along this didn't have any floats on them because there was never any water there.
All right, okay.
I mean, there's barely any water there now.
I mean, that's like 60 feet roughly from, I don't know, it could be a little further up too, water. So it's,
So what is the depth of the, is there a proposed float? Because I was looking at the proposed floating assembly will, and a 4x6 foot L floating dock, 4x6 foot? A 4x6 dock?
it says,
Am I correct about that?
yeah. It's this little thing.
Is it Easy Dock?
I don't
Easy
think they,
docks are 5x10, Scott.
I think they have a baby dock. It's roughly 40 inches by 60 inches, the baby dock.
Well, maybe that's it then.
It's got like
That
a
is,
1,000-pound capacity, and it's got
It's not very stable.
it's actually it's pretty stable. Actually, you'd be surprised the way they kind of get suction to the water.
Really?
And you can attach it to like you're saying a 40 by 10 and make a tiny L. Just trying to.
Why do we have so many of those overlapping boxes there? It's very difficult to see.
I know, Eric. It's like, it's a very busy screen.
Yeah, I guess so.
Where's
Is it the fact that it's
I mean, maybe the side profile you can see a little better.
Oh,
can you
that's
scroll,
better.
can you scroll in on that a bit, James, please? Thank you.
the whole survey's a hot mess?
Well, where does the 60 feet start? At the high water mark or the low water mark?
At the high water mark, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to, yeah.
Okay. Well, no, it looks like the 60 starts at the low water mark if you look at it.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, it start at the low water mark is the 60.
No, so this dock is way too long then.
So at the high.
I think this guy should resubmit this plan with less boxes on so we can understand.
It shows on this part, it shows this is the mean high water and it shows 60 feet.
Well, that's not correct then.
No.
It doesn't correspond to what you have on the side profile.
Yeah.
Because if you bring that over, that dashed line, right at the end, mean low water, right? It says 3.0. It extends way over. It extends past that 60. The 60, if you push your cursor up, right there, that's the mean low water mark is 60.
So the mean high water
mean
mark
high
is up
water
by,
mark is about 80, looks like, maybe.
So they need to fix this part.
Yeah, it has to correspond.
that's the way I see it, Eric.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Setting
You're right.
this going on hold?
Yep.
Yeah, clean up that survey a little bit, remove all that.
Yeah, because I mean,
extraneous
the other
details.
docks are at 60 feet. Some of them, most of them don't have floats because there's no water.
Mm-hmm.
This dock's like 20 feet longer.
Okay,
Right,
we'll have
right.
them revisit it,
So we're holding that in?
please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so next one, 188 Redwood LLC. Jane, are you on? Jane Costello from Costello Marine.
Is this the one with the extended return?
Yes.
Yeah, I was down there. There's terrible erosion along that stretch.
I don't think she's on.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa, was she on?
She read the email. I have an email receipt, but obviously didn't join the meeting.
Okay.
Well, that erosion has been going on for years, right? When we looked at the historical photographs last time.
Yeah. It's just getting accelerated now because it's eating away to the bluff and it looks a lot worse.
So is the bulkhead causing that? Is that
No, it's the erosion goes along the whole entire beach, Eric, for the next four houses to the west. It's basically, there was an old glacial rocks outcropping there that was stabilized for years, and now it's eroded behind it. So it's eroding into the bank at a quicker pace.
Mm-hmm. What direction is the fetch coming to?
The southwesterly and westerly winds really do a number on it there.
Are they hitting it right at that return?
Right at the return here, yeah. Coming in, if you look at that bulkhead, it's almost on a 45-degree angle, cutting in right into that passive return.
Right, right.
It's the worst case scenario if you had a bulkhead return that's being compromised.
So the adjoining property owner is losing land, and he hasn't, or they haven't done any erosion control there. So it's causing more erosion control on this person's property.
The other property, yes. The erosion's on the other property, but it's compromising their return.
Right. So even putting some boulders in front of that return is not going to decrease the wave action in there. It's just going to
No,
go right
once
around
the wave
those
action, it's going to eat around it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very difficult situation.
Yeah, I had the same situation as down in the East Quogue by the East Quogue ramp, where the person didn't maintain the bulkhead and caused all that sand.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, this guy to put some put some rocks in line with his bulkhead return, and the neighbor put like a L or moon, crescent-shaped moon coming off of it to protect his property would be the perfect scenario, but that's not going to happen because the application isn't for the neighbor, it's for this guy.
Right, right. And you can't make someone protect their property.
So all we're going to do is take the erosion that's right there now and transfer it inland further as the waves eat away at the bluff.
If the return is extended.
That's what's going to happen there, yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. They're going to get
because the bigger the return, the more the wave reverberation comes off.
Right, right.
It's not a good scenario.
No.
So what do we do since no one is here from Costello to support it?
I'd hold it off until they come for the next meeting.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, that's the only fair thing to do.
Okay. Well, we know what they want,
Yes.
Well, the question is, are we good with it? I mean, do they have to be here? I don't want to push it along, but
Are there any other alternatives that we might suggest to them?
Well, you're going to protect one property and sacrifice the other property. That's
right.
Pretty much what I seen the other day when I took a boat ride down there.
Right.
I mean, you could see See how it's crescent out there, that hole between the dock and the
Right,
bulkhead?
right.
That's all, in the last 20 years, it's really picked up pace.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. A landowner could do some very simple steps down there to stop a lot of that erosion, but it's,
Yeah, but his house is so far away from that bluff, Eric, he doesn't even probably know what's happening.
right, right. I don't see any other alternative but to allow for the return to protect that person's property since the other
Yeah.
person isn't doing anything about it.
Well, I mean, can we put return there and put like 10 yards of clean fill against it or is that getting compromising working on the neighbor's property?
Hmm. How long is that going to last being there?
No, probably a year or so.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I could tell you right now, in 5 years, he's going to go back for another return.
Yeah, it'll be right up to that grass line at some point.
Yeah, I know.
Hmm.
I guess we review one application. We're doing the one that has it in front of us, so we'll worry about that one and the other one at a later date, I guess.
Right, we can't make him protect his property.
No,
Right?
you can't.
No.
But are we then held in any way if we exacerbate the erosion that's occurring because of the bulkhead on the applicant's property?
Well, we've already allowed one or two returns to go back. When a return gets compromised, you usually allow the return to be extended landward some distance to protect the property.
Right,
And
right.
at some point, the adjoining property owner will realize that he needs to take an action too.
Hmm.
Hey, Eric,
Yes.
we could have a public hearing on this. That way the neighbor would be brought in because he would be notified what's happening and explain to him. Then he might.
It's an excellent suggestion.
That way,
Okay.
we're like we're not, helping the cause, or he helping the cause.
Well, if I was going to do a public hearing, I would notice like the next property to the west and the one right after that, west of that dock that's sticking out, because the erosion starts even further down and out. It's like a trickle down effect.
Lisa,
So I
Maybe
think
they'll
in
all
this
come in
instance,
together and come up with a group plan for like a holistic approach to it.
Yeah, Ed's right on that. Do the whole neighborhood.
yeah, I think that each person should be notified via certified letter. At least 2 or 3 properties down, adjoining properties about
Lisa,
bringing them into discussion.
Yes, Sam.
how many people, like how many neighbors to either side are usually notified when there's
The
public hearing?
adjoining neighbors are the ones that notify the
Yeah,
Army Corps. That's what they would do.
James, can you help me out here? Is it within 500 feet? They are budding.
Yeah, abutting.
Yeah, usually. Well, James, do you have a ability to scroll, down to see what the character of shoreline is further down? So there's no other bulkheads right in
No,
that. So I think that next door neighbor's got to be the next door neighbor, or the one to the adjoining him too, has got to be the transition from bulkheads to the one side, natural shoreline to the other. So we got to stop it somehow. Kind of come together with what we're going to do there. Because it's just going to start affecting further down along,
I'm fine with setting up a public hearing for this.
Yeah, I think it's the best way to go. That way, at least the adjoining neighbor will be notified of what's going to happen, and then he could have his day in the sun, basically speak his piece.
Yeah, that's the mechanism to use. Yes.
Can we set a public hearing via Zoom, Lisa? We did the other day with.
Well, excuse me, Ann, the resolution would go on, the notice of public hearing would go on for the 8th. And then since you do not have another meeting until August 3rd, let me just look at my calendar. The public hearing would be held on the 3rd of August. And then you could have a resolution ready at the, close the public hearing, hear testimony, and then you could close the public hearing on the 3rd. Decide what you want to do.
Yeah, that gives us a lot of time.
I'm just looking at my calendar for the publishing dates. So if you're meeting, we put the notice on for the 8th. It gets advertised in the newspaper on the 16th. And then since we only have one meeting in July, traditionally, it would be on the first meeting in August, which is August 3rd. That's a Monday.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we're not getting tremendous amount of erosion right now, right, Ed, in that area?
No, it's only during you get a bad northeaster, and then you get a real extreme high tide, and you get a southwesterly wind and then a northwesterly wind. That's when the erosion, and it's a calm time of year for storms. So we got the whole
Right.
summer unless we get a hurricane, but we're not going to stop that. So
Right.
we got time.
And then putting in a return is all going to be upland, basically. So
Right. Yes.
it's going to be in the water.
So Anne, are you holding that pen, putting the notice of public hearing on for the 8th?
Please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, Matt. Jeffrey Rosenberg modification, 62 John Street, Village of Sag Harbor, Suffolk Environmental. Are you still there, Matt?
Yep, I'm still here.
Great. So do you want to describe it? You want me to?
I'll do it real quick. It's just, this is a previously approved dock in Sag Harbor Cove. In Sag Harbor Village, you have to get a building permit, so they have to, they have to rely on the New York State requirements for putting railings on decks and other structures similar if they're above 30 inches, which this is. So we're coming in basically to put on handrails on the dock just for compliance with the New York State code and just for safety, because the owner, he's a nice guy, he's got family, he's got some young kids, so he's just concerned, and that's really it.
James,
What kind of railings are we looking at, Matt?
I think he's timber. I mean, I'm pretty sure he realizes they can't be treated. So, I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty simple design. I mean, just to comply.
Like a 2x4 on top of the pole pilings that are there?
I mean, I want to say yes. I'm not 100%, but it sounds like it's going to be pretty simple to comply with the village building inspector, Tom Briata.
It's not layered, Ed, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen railings where there's a white PVC and they're like every 4 inches apart. It looks like it looks like industrial. Something simple like that would be,
No, I think so. I mean, if he puts in a second, like a lower rail, underneath the top rail, is that doable just in case? So I could just cover my bases here or no?
I mean, people sometimes just drill them and put rope in there.
I know, but I don't know if that flies with the New York State building code. I mean, that's the deal. We're at the mercy of the New York State building code.
Can you give us some idea what it's gonna look like?
Yeah, I can provide. You want like a picture or a real quick drawing? I can send that.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't think we want four 2x4 railings there. It's
yeah.
Then it becomes like a solid structure, almost like a fence.
Yeah. I'll send you something. I don't think it's gonna be that. It's gonna be just.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see what they're gonna come up with the building codes. We've gone back and forth with the Army Corps raising these docks up. Where do we stop with the handrails, right, Eric?
Well,
right. I mean, I had a discussion with the building department, and they said anything over 4 feet requires that 4-inch spacing with the balusters and everything. So,
yeah, but the village is different. You need a building permit. Southampton, you don't need a building permit for a dock. So people don't really bother complying with that. But
I understand it's kind of a slippery slope, though. I mean,
I hear you.
Hey, Matt.
Yes, sir.
I also seen that you can use wire too, 4 inches apart cable.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll pass too.
Yeah.
Stainless wire, with turnbuckles to make it tight.
We did that on that house in the dunes there.
Yeah. All right, let me get you guys something, and so don't waste your time, and I'll send it over hopefully tomorrow to James, and then I'll see you guys, I guess, on the next work session.
Thank you, Matt.
All right.
So Anne, we're holding this till the 8th?
Please.
Okay, we're holding to the 8th. Thank you, Anne.
Take care.
Bye, Matt.
Bye, Matt.
Ed, this is you. It's MH Ocean View LLC, 30 Ocean View Drive in Southampton. Inter Southampton, Jim
I
Walker.
talked to Jim Walker about this. Him and I are going to work out something. What's proposed there, I don't think is going to work, and I expressed that to him because of the depth of water and the proximity to eelgrass. So I'm going to meet with Jim when I talk about Road H and discuss this. So just put this on hold for now, okay?
On hold.
Okay.
Mr. Pell's up next.
44 Sandgate Lane is Brett there.
Hi guys, it's Brant from Inner Science.
Brant.
Hey, Brant.
Brant.
Sorry, I'm not. I don't have the technology at my desk to be video conferenced in, but I can hear and see everything, and I can do my best to present this to you without being able to see me. So, Bill, do you want me to walk them through this? How do you want to do it?
You can walk through it. The couple of questions I have right off the top for you. Are they going to raise the bulkhead? Because the bulkhead right now has a few 6x6s on it, on top of it. And also, are they going to use flow through on the deck and going out to the float? And what are you going to put for plantings behind the bulkhead?
Okay, so I can answer all three of those, but let me first just give you a rundown on what we got here.
Right.
So, property is pretty much fortified by a bulkhead, almost 270 degrees, and where the bulkhead lets off, there is a retaining wall and a rock revetment that finishes up. This property does have a vegetated marsh around it, as is shown on our plans, and the clients enjoy everything that's there right now. They're just concerned that the bulkhead is getting old, so they want to replace it. It's currently functional, and they don't have any intentions to raise it. The elevation of the bulkhead is about 5.7 feet, and they're going to remain or maintain that elevation by installing the vinyl sheathing with probably a timber cap. But the bulkhead is going to be in the same configuration. They're going to remove what's there, replace Stedman behind where necessary, and all associated tie rods. All construction is intended to be upland, understanding that they want to minimize, if not completely avoid, impacts to the vegetated marsh. All of the equipment will be able to operate from the landward side, and that's about the crux of the bulkhead construction. All untreated materials, of course, and maintaining its current configuration. The dock is intended to be, and I'm sorry, this bulkhead was approved by the trustees back in 1977. We have minutes from the trustee meetings from December of 1977 recognizing the approval and oversight of the construction with the trustees' involvement. So moving on to the dock, we have a existing dock, a catwalk, I should say, that was damaged originally in Irene and Sandy, the back-to-back storms, and then was relatively nearly wiped out with the consecutive winters thereafter with heaving, and they tried to band-aid the dock back together, but when my client purchased it, he recognized that he needed to do more to actually make it usable. So we're before you right now to replace everything that was approved by the trustees in 2003. I think James has a copy of that right there. That's the permit right there. So the dimensions are to the T. It's a 75-foot overall length from the bulkhead. That includes, starting from the bulkhead, that includes a 30-foot fixed pier catwalk elevated 4.5 feet above the marsh. That, again, coincides with the top of the bulkhead, and it also meets Army Corps requirements and is consistent with previous approvals, because that's where the catwalk currently is elevated. Then we're going to, once we get beyond the marsh, this is a modification that we made to abide by the current trustee regulations. We're ramping down to a 13-foot low-profile catwalk that will have open grade decking. That will be about 26 inches above mean high water. And then from there, we're ramping down to the actual 6x20 float. Again, the design and the location of the structure is consistent with what the trustees had approved before. My client is interested in moving this forward as quickly as possible and thusly ordered me to abide by all of the dimensions that were previously approved. Again, the one small modification was that we dropped the catwalk down once we got past the marsh to update the structure to meet the current Blue Code requirements or Blue Book requirements. The elevated portion of the walkway will have wood decking and it will have a rope handrail. Again, consistent with the previous trustee approval. So that's the application in a nutshell. I think I answered all your questions, Bill. If I missed one, please.
The planting behind the bulkhead.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. If the trustees want to see some plantings behind the bulkhead, that 10-foot buffer, I'll take it back to my client, but I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Okay.
We'll probably do some kind of Spartina, you know.
Yeah, that'll be good. The part where it goes over the marshland, is that going to be a wooden deck or open grade?
It's going to be wooden. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's another important part of this. The walkway is being proposed at 3 feet. And the reason that is, my client is, again, looking to push this through the trustees as quickly as possible. Look at that permit. I'm sorry, James, can you go back to that permit? That was what was originally approved. So you have a 3-foot wide walkway that's elevated 4.5 feet above grade. That meets the standards for not needing an open grade decking because the shadowing effect would not have any impact on the marshland. And that it's evident by the photographs of the property that marsh is flourishing very well. So the client would like to have the wooden decking on the elevated portion. And when we transition down to the 26 inches, we would therefore abide by the open grade decking requirement.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions about it?
Is this whole entire structure going to be removed and replaced?
Yes. The bulkhead?
Yeah, there's some, I know there's some treated stuff there. It's a mess.
It's all coming out.
And the new bulkhead's not gonna have the two James, hang on, don't move. We have the two 6x6s. You're going from the height of the original bulkhead, right?
Yeah, that's part of the original. That's part of the 5.7 foot elevation that's shown on the plans. That will be the top of the bulkhead right there that James is pointing to.
Because it looks like that was added later on, not when
it was, Billy.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, obviously.
It is. I just point that. That's what I was trying to figure out where. So actually, he's raising it 12 inches from the original plan.
I don't know what the original plan said in terms of elevations, Bill. I'm just going off of what the existing site
So
conditions
you're going by the present elevation.
Correct.
And how does that correspond to the adjoining properties?
Well, the reason being is because this property sits out on the point, and it's a bit of a plinth. You know, it's a built-up plinth. And the high water does, as you can see on the bulkhead, the high water does come up and sit on the bulkhead. Yeah. So during a northeast wind, an east wind, with a north wind and a northeast wind, this pond fills up quick. And then with an east wind, it will push the waves up against this and overtop it. So the height of the bulkhead is important.
Yeah, and is he going to backfill it to the height, 4 inches below the top, or is he going to keep it that grade right there?
Again, I think we're open to discussions on that. I don't think that matters to him either way.
On photo number 6, I see there's a return after the return. Where What is going to be done on the new bulkhead? Where's it going to stop?
Hold on, Ed. I'm looking at the plans.
Because you got like a 20-foot return there, or maybe a
James, can you go to the
return,
first
and then
sheet?
it's been added on above it.
Which sheet?
James, can you go to the sheet? I think
The plan?
I'm sorry, the site plan sheet. It would be sheet number 1, or actually,
It stops right there. It does not go up. Looks like I'm looking at it right now. Looks like it doesn't go up.
yeah. So the yellow. I'm sorry, Ed or James, go back. If you can scroll up a little bit. So they're looking at Ed's looking at the top part right there. Yeah.
Yes,
all of
that's
that is
it.
intended to be replaced, Ed. All you see right there in yellow or orange is intended to be replaced because it is a form of the erosion control.
But how far is that return going to go landward there?
To the property line, is what you see right there.
Okay.
Is the work to be done from land, Brent? Just
Yes.
looking at all the Spartina that's around it? Like the bulkhead replacement? Is that to be done from land? Or how do you
Yes.
protect that Spartina?
Yes, Ann. All of the work is intended to be done from the land.
Okay.
James, go down there. If James, if you stop right there, Ed, that answers your question, I think.
Yes.
If you look at that plan, it shows you all the dimensions of everything that's being replaced, and it's basically replacing everything that you see there that is holding back the land.
Yeah, so the 21 feet
Like
and 11
The
feet is going to be all replaced.
Yes.
It's like a 32, 33-foot return. All right.
What's on the neighboring property?
It's just sand.
sand.
But
Yeah,
you can see the debris. It does get wave action and water all the way up beside our house. So fortifying that and holding back the land and the wave energy is quintessential to saving this house.
Yeah, because that gets hit hard on northeastern.
Yes.
I think that house almost got destroyed in those 2 hurricanes. So you're going to show some plantings behind the bulkhead?
Yes, if the board would like to see that, would a 10-foot buffer with Spartina be sufficient? Is that what we're thinking about?
No mow, no vegetate, no fertilize. Yes, please.
If you could get that to us for Friday, then we can put it, on the next meeting.
Okay.
Oof.
Yep, I can do that.
Does anyone else have anything else they want on it?
No, that'll be good.
That's good.
And he realized that he can't keep his float on the wetlands, on the marsh.
Yeah, that dock and ramp needs to be a seasonal float stored on his property because it's been on the wetlands for 4 years.
Oh,
Yes, I
Literally
made him aware.
eroding him away to nothing.
I made him aware of that, and he intends to store it on his driveway.
Okay, good. I think that we're all set then.
Okay.
Cool.
thanks,
Okay.
Brent.
Yep. Thank you
Thank
all.
you very much.
Take care.
Yeah, we have that by Friday, so that way you can put it on for the next meeting.
Yeah, will do.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Take care.
Brent.
And
That's it. Mine are done.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to add?
I have something.
James does, and then I do, I guess.
Okay.
So I just received an email from the fire marshal in the village. I guess Rucci reached out to them about a fireworks show. We haven't received anything from them for the 4th of July. They do it every year, but I know that we don't have a meeting till July 8th. So I wanted to bring it to your attention on how to handle how you guys want to approve it or not approve it. Or
Happens on the 3rd, I think.
yeah. So I could pull up the information if you want, so you can look at it. Otherwise, like the only other way to approve it would be a special meeting. So I just wanted to bring it up now because I was just
Is
found
it
out
the
about
fresh air funds home?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
It's July.
that would be in the Bay. That would be the Coast Guard, the Bay Constables,
Right in
and
front of my house.
everybody else.
Right.
Yep. It's Friday.
Clover
July
issues?
3rd.
No, I can show you the plan, but they always leave the fall line outside of the area.
Okay.
Beach, they do hire monitors to make sure that people stay off and out of the areas that are closed to driving on and stuff like that every year.
Okay.
So we're good on that. It's just a matter of social distancing. I know that I was aware that the East Hampton didn't do or aren't doing any of their fireworks show because of possible large gatherings. But I don't.
There's usually a party that's a benefit for the fresh air home that goes along with this. I think I saw that they're not having the party this year, but in order to continue the tradition of the fireworks,
They're
are
not
doing
doing the
fireworks.
party, just the fireworks.
Thanks,
Okay.
Charles.
I'm gonna have to leave for 1 minute. I'll be right back. Go ahead.
We probably can mimic what we gave them last year. Just pull out last year's permit.
Yeah, whatever you guys want to do. If all the paperwork's in order according to what last year's is, we can go forward with it. But it's up to you guys whether you want to approve it as a walk-on. I don't know how that would work.
I'm pretty much fine with it because, like Scott said, the community needs something like this.
Well, we've approved it for at least 10 years or longer. And if we do this mirror the same as what we did last year as far as the permit, just have Sean give it a quick look, and if it's good to go. I mean, it was a letter of permission for a couple of years.
How did we do it last year, James, in 2019?
I think it was just a resolution, and they supply us with the certificate of liability. I got to check to see what else they have given us in the past, but I believe it was just a resolution that allowed it to happen. Okay. But I'll have to.
We could.
Could we have Eric give the president authority to sign a letter of permission once all the paperwork is cleared by Sean?
That's fine with me.
We won't have a meeting for that. So
yeah, we can do that, right?
we do a brief special meeting and just do a resolution on that.
Yeah, we can do it.
Instead of combining the work session of the 24th into the 28th, you could have a regular work session and then a special meeting to approve the resolution for the fireworks.
That's probably the way to go.
Because we're probably not going to be doing July 8th meeting via Zoom any longer, I don't think.
Hopefully not.
So we may be able to have a special meeting preceding the work session on the 24th to approve that reso for the fireworks.
We'd have to put that notice out right now, right?
No, we have time. Today's only the
15th.
Today's the 15th. So we have 2 days notice. Let me just look at my calendar. Today's the 15th.
A week from this Wednesday.
The 24th is, am I in the wrong month? Oh, I'm in the wrong month.
You really feel it's necessary? You really feel it's necessary to have a special meeting just for the, a routine thing that we've done all
Why don't
these
we just
years?
endorse it? Just
Yeah, I would
give the
think so.
president the ability to
Yeah.
issue the letter of permission.
Right.
That way we-
Consistent
Okay,
with past approvals.
What's the mechanism by which the board's giving Eric permission to sign the letter? Or should you all sign it?
Yeah, I was gonna say you could all sign it, and then we don't have to do the resolution.
Fine,
Right.
we'll all sign it then.
Okay. All right, Sean and I will work on that with James, right, Sean?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's make it simpler for the staff,
Okay.
Yeah, let's make it
Simple.
easy.
So, yeah, we just need all the signatures then.
Make it
Yeah.
simple.
I have templates for that, Sean.
Okay.
Okay, so letter to address to the village fire marshal, James?
Yeah, I can work out the details on that.
Okay, so you,
I think it's a
me and
letter
Sean
to-
will work that out.
Yeah, I think it's a letter to Grucci to allow them to have the barge with the fireworks.
James, didn't we do that by letter one time before we started actually memorializing it? Yeah, we
Yeah.
did. Okay, all right, I got it.
Okay. And are they going to launch from East Quogue as usual? Or they've changed that now? You know?
Terry, last year they did the barge at Jackson's.
Oh, okay, because we had specific set of requirements that they had to follow if they worked from East Quogue.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Eddie's correct.
Okay. That's closer.
It is.
Okay, it doesn't tie up our public access on the dock. Okay,
You're good with that, James, Lisa, Sean?
Yes.
sure,
Okay.
yeah.
I have a couple things. I met with homeowners in around Fresh Pond in North Haven the other day. They are asking for, they know that their 10-year dredge permit is expiring, so they're looking to renew that. InterScience handled that last time, so I'll reach out to InterScience and ask if they'd be interested in handling that again. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, Fresh Pond Bayview Oaks, I just want for the record, it is extremely shoaled at the inlet, and there is access at high tide, but it's marginal access. The homeowners in the area do know that there was no spring dredging window, but it's on the list for September.
Okay.
They really need some sort of bulkhead or groin out there to stop that sand from coming in.
Yeah, but they don't want to fund it, Eric.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've gone around and around with them. We
Right.
get them the permits, we put a barge down there, we make a mountain of sand, and we tell them it, and then as long as we keep dredging it, they'll keep, not
Right.
doing it, I guess. That's the hard
Right.
part about it.
Right. Okay.
Sure, a couple other things. We all got an email from the Nature Conservancy this morning asking if we'd like to co-sponsor with the South Shore Estuary Reserve a virtual seagrass workshop. They gave us a couple dates in July, the 21st to the 23rd. I think that would be a great thing. I can, if you check it out on your email, I think it would be great to co-sponsor it. All that requires of us is to lend our name to it and to help promote it. It's an educational type thing. We can discuss it further, but I just thought it could be great.
Came in today.
What's that?
Where'd it come
Yeah.
from?
Allison Branco.
Yes, it came in today.
Coastal Director, Nature Conservancy.
Yeah, I don't have that.
I can forward it to you.
Yeah.
So that's something we can discuss further, but I think that would be a worthwhile thing to support.
Yeah.
Both SAG and Mecox bay heights are very high. They're at or just below the orange line. So that's going to be something that we're going to start to hear about.
We're hearing about it now.
Right. Yeah. So there are plover nests in both locations with fledge dates that are not until the end of July. So tagging on to that, I made, as I had mentioned at a previous meeting, in Massachusetts on Cape Cod, there were several towns that worked together and were successful in obtaining an incidental take permit for plovers. This one was geared towards 4x4 access. I spoke with several members of different organizations who worked to make that happen. Where I'm kind of at with that right now is an organization that was the one who actually, they were the consultants for this. And the woman I spoke with there said there's funding for the habitat conservation plan that's federally funded, but it hasn't come out yet. So we're sort of in a little bit of a holding pattern with that. She did say, though, that this is what she called a light permit. They were able to do the one in Massachusetts in under 2 years, and she thought that this one could be able to be done in under a year. And there is federal funding for it. There's a grant that would have to be applied for. So a little bit of a holding pattern, but that's just a bit of an update on that. Questions? Okay. Where do we
Well,
stand?
this entails, though, you're talking about incidental take, then you have to provide other areas in order,
Right.
to, right? So that would, you know, we would have to buy additional property to.
No. The suggestions are that there would be no discussion of giving up any 4x4 driving, no discussion of buying additional property. They would have us go after predators or create more habitat in areas. So for instance, the S curve that presently exists at Mecox, we fill that in, that creates more plover habitat. That would fit this criteria, right, James? Back me up on this.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, you know, obviously you have to go through consultation with Fish and Wildlife and DEC on whether that's, you know, enough for it. But it's our understanding that, you know, that would be an example of creating more habitat in the area to offset what your proposal is. Another thing would be to actually devegetate certain areas to create more habitat for plovers in certain areas.
We're going to devegetate.
That's straight from Fish and Wildlife and DEC. So
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't lowering the bay going to increase the amount of area that they have now? So aren't we now creating a situation where there's less habitat for them by leaving the bay open?
That's been my contention.
So why wouldn't they, you know, why wouldn't they just come down and say, hey, open that bay because we want more habitat? I mean,
that would be something that would go in the conservation plan, and they would, you know, bolster the potential of getting this.
Yeah, but why aren't they doing that now?
That's been my contention.
By keeping the bay
along.
open, I mean, by keeping the inlet closed, we're actually decreasing the amount of foraging area that they have. So you would think that they say, hey, we want to give these birds the best chance for survival, so drop that bay down.
Yep.
Eric, that's been my contention all along, that it creates more foraging habitat, and I would contend a more nutritious foraging habitat.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, you know,
so what's the problem?
Even absent of us having that permit, they should not be dragging their feet. We have a management plan that's been adopted. This has been done for hundreds of years. Protocols are in place. It's going to benefit the birds. They should be facilitating the expeditious letting of the bay for all the environmental benefits for the entire system.
You know what I'm saying is that if we are in control of the inlet, we're causing a problem. They should be annoyed at that and make us open the inlet.
Correct, but they're actually exacerbating the problem by
Right.
taking too long to provide necessary authorizations. They're
Right.
backing up the water system even further and creating
Right.
the problem further upland into the farm field, so on and so forth.
Right.
They should have done what we had discussed, and that was we adopted the management plan with all protocols in place and just more expeditiously issued the authorizations, okay, or gave us the permit, issue the permit, whatever. We'll just keep working on it.
We're kind of talking about apples and oranges here because the organizations that I'm speaking about or that I'm sort of fact-finding with right now, although they've worked with Fish and Wildlife and Army Corps, are not at all concerned with them. So these are completely single and separate.
No, I understand that. We got off on another topic about why Fish and Wildlife is not taking action on this.
Right. So that's a whole nother. So I did speak also with, he's located in Cortland, New York. I don't remember his exact title.
Right,
but,
that's the head guy for New York State.
right, so I spoke
Right.
with him. His feeling is that there should be some sort of pipe placed underneath the beach that would open out, that could be used, that would only be a seasonal solution.
We're going backwards now.
I agree. So
It's not going to transfer any water from the ocean in.
And spawning
Precisely.
fish.
So I listened to him. I said I'd look into it. I said I'd convey that information, but I'm going with the incidental take. I'm focusing my attention there, and we'll see. We'll see.
That's disturbing. That just shows how fundamentally out of touch this whole bunch is, putting the pipe in. They have no clue of, the saltwater interchange and the shellfish involved and everything. They're just concerned about one species.
I guess they haven't read our management plan.
Wow. By the way, it's about 388 years of opening that inlet.
That's all?
That's all.
How many years were you there?
Yeah, I'll tell you that story about that conversation later. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll keep you guys updated with any further information along those lines. I had a call about gates that were installed at Road L and Road K in Hampton Bays that were installed by the county that are locked over there.
That's part of the agreement that we signed way back in the 80s with the county for them to close off the access for the birds. That's how they monitor
I think
birds.
the question was, Ed, though, that the poles were too close, that it was stopping pedestrians even from getting through there, right? Is that what you're talking about, Ann?
That there was no access at all. There was a snow fence put right to the edge of the gates. And I guess it looks like there was a gate at L Road, but it's completely buried under sand. There was concern that they were cemented in. So just the very permanent nature, I think, is what was concerning.
Well, the gates were only supposed to be temporary and taken off during the season when they weren't being used, because people were running into them and having problems.
Right.
There's one at Ponquag and one at Tiana too. So there's actually 4 gates that the county uses, or we use to deter people from driving on the beach.
I have a photo. Oh, sorry, Ed.
Maybe we should send a email to what's the guy at the Suffolk County
Parks?
Yeah, James, what's the guy's name? Nick Gibbons? Asking him to at least allow 5 feet for pedestrian egress and back and forth, because if we don't, then people are going to be right on top of each other. They're not going to be practicing social distancing, and that's the last thing we need. We need some mechanism.
I think Sean should review Sean should review the agreement before you make any phone calls, because he may be able to point out some contractual responsibilities.
Right.
Okay.
It was never intended to stop pedestrian access.
Just
That's getting a little too far.
So just have Sean review the agreement just to make sure that nobody's overstepping their bounds.
Right. Sounds good.
I have photos I can send you, Sean, because if those gates were intended to be temporary, they are cemented in.
Okay. I can take a look.
Okay.
Okay. One more thing and then I'm done. Actually, two. Do we require on our crab pots the turtle extruder devices? So the diamondback terrapin sometimes get stuck in the crab pots.
I believe if you have a state permit, you need to have access for the turtles to get out.
You have to have the new pots.
Yes.
But unfortunately, I guess a lot of the smaller pot holders don't have the.
Well, the recreational people just have old homemade pots, so.
Right.
But they're supposed to have turtle, especially in specific areas within the state.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they are off the top of my head, but I would imagine Flanders Bay and the Peconic Estuary system would be one of those areas, because there's a lot of turtles over there.
Could we look into that a little bit? Because I think that it's possible the East Hampton trustees are offering the turtle extruder devices to the commercial fishermen for their crab pots free of charge. Can we look into that to see if we could do that as well?
I believe that any commercial guys are supposed to have them on the pots, but I'll give Wade Carden a call at the DEC and get an answer either from him or somebody there. The
that's cool.
Regs as far as commercial, but if we're going to enforce it on the commercial end, it has to be done on the recreational end too. Because they have the same problem. They do have the same problems. And they don't run them on a daily basis. If you run them on a daily basis, a lot of times the turtles get thrown overboard, but if they're 2 or 3 days, they will die. They'll drown.
Could we require that of the recreational ones as well?
100%. They're regulated.
Yeah.
Okay. That'd be great. Okay. Last thing. Just circling back around to the rain garden. Bill, you said it was going to be installed this coming week or next week.
Week from Friday.
I had asked at the last meeting for a planting schematic for the how it was to be watered and how it was to be maintained. The planting schematic, I was able to find a plant list on the Lake Agawam Conservancy site. You said that the Conservancy is going to be maintaining it?
For the first year.
What about the organization that's done it for the previous years? Has anyone spoken to them to let them know that they're not going to be?
I had not contacted them because I was waiting to see if we were going to need them to do the maintenance. Moving forward, it sounded like the Conservancy was going to re-veg it and do the maintenance. So I have not reached out to them. I don't usually do that through John McDonald or Alison Mancuso. So, those are the people, but we haven't pursued it. So I didn't do it this year.
You want me to handle that, or you want to do it?
I can make a call to them. I'm basically going to tell them we're not going to need their maintenance program for this year.
Okay.
They've done it for 3 years and they did a pretty good job. That's why I reached out to the other day.
Well,
to
then we save some money.
Done if it needed to be, maintained for some part of the summer, we would get half a year contract. But it sounds like it's going to get done now, so it's a year. So once that contract expires, we're going to have another group of people come in and look at it.
Right.
Well, maybe since there's going to be a rain garden installed in Round Pond, maybe, I don't know exactly the timeline on that, but maybe their services could be used there, because we don't want to take work away from them. But I think it's important, at least for the first year, for the Conservancy to to be hands-on with the maintenance. But
Well, I think
also,
there's some guarantees on the plantings that go for at least a year. Hopefully, we don't get another hurricane that washes it all out. That's what
Right,
happened
right.
the last time we replanted it. The salt
Who's
water
doing the,
intrusion.
who's doing the planting in Sag Harbor?
I don't know the answer to that yet. There's a lot to be worked out there still. I can get back to you. I've been asking, but I don't have an answer yet.
Because usually, you know, if you're a contractor and you're putting plantings in, you want to be responsible for the maintenance so you don't, you know, lose the whole planting. I would be kind of suspect of letting that happen if I was the contractor.
Okay. Is there any place else where we could use the services of the organization? Because it's for developmentally handicapped, right? So it's a really good cause. So
They use them in Hampton Bays for some maintenance of the beautification. So that's where I got them from.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to look into it.
As of right now, we don't have any other facilities that need any maintenance.
Okay.
But maybe moving forward, well, I guess we're going to have a conversation with the Conservancy and how they want to handle Agawam as
Right.
far as the maintenance.
Maybe they have some use for them in other places in Agawam.
Maybe.
Yeah. We'll talk to them about that.
And then just last thing, the water to irrigate the rain garden. Is there an answer on that yet?
He thinks that he does not need water, but if they do need water, pipes are being laid down just in case, where you can hook up a water to it, a water truck. I already spoke to Richie this morning. Just in case they need water, he's going to borrow the water truck from the town Parks and Rec.
Yeah, Parks and Rec, like we did before.
Yep.
Just because usually when a rain garden is planted, it's planted. I mean, we had extenuating circumstances this year, but usually it's planted as early in the spring as possible because then you can take advantage of the spring rains.
Yeah.
So just this year, it's tough.
Shouldn't it be up to the Conservancy to make sure that's maintained and watered? They're the
Well,
ones.
I'm sure they are, yeah.
I would say that for the first year, because that way they can guarantee those plants are going to be at least 1 year or 2 years living. If we get involved in it and we don't do the proper watering and they die, I don't want us to be held liable for it, right, Bill?
Right.
Right.
Yep.
I just had the water truck as a backup.
Yeah, I mean, we've done it before, but I don't want to be hold responsible for watering something that someone else should be taking care of.
Well, what type of irrigation are they using? They're using a drip?
We're going to put a drip hose in it. That's what.
Well, then you can just pump it from the lake. If it's just going to drip and ooze into the soil, you're not
Eric, I
atomizing
tried
it.
that. That didn't work out well.
What?
Because the vapors come out in a steam. I'm not kidding.
No. I meant you're using a drip. It's a different source. It's just weeping out. It's not atomizing like a rainbird sprinkler.
No pressure.
All right. Well, we'll let them.
Let them worry about it right now.
They're
Sounds like they
doing
got it
right
under
now, and
control.
if they need help, we could step up.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
last thing. Where do we stand with Round Dune?
Round Dune, we issued a permit for 1 year. The town, as it is right now, granted an extension, as far as I know, for their a 3-month extension.
I don't think ours is up yet, is it?
Sean, are you up on that? On Round Dune?
Sean, you're muted.
I'm just looking on my email right now. We had an email from Janice Shear on it.
I believe they extended it out 3 months.
I believe our permits are up in December on that, is where we left off in the conversation.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, we're not up yet.
Right.
Okay, so it's the town's end of it. I was just down there the other day. It is all planted and the geocubes are all covered with sand.
And why do they need an extension for them? Do you have any idea? Okay.
No.
We'll find out.
I think it's appropriate for December for the renewal to raise that. You mentioned Round Pond. I've advised President Schultz not to sign that agreement because the town committed their resources to it. Now they're saying they didn't. I want to iron that out before we sign on to that, if we can.
Yeah, it seems to be some discrepancy of what's going on now.
Oh, okay. I'll circle back around with you on that then. Thanks, Sean.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought one of the things that we had put on in it, caveats as far as them coming up with a possible fallback plan on the structure. That was the discussion when we were giving them this, relief, is that they were going to come up with a long-term plan. That was what my understanding was.
Which is, what are you talking about now?
Brown Dune.
Oh, no, we're talking about
Round Pond.
Sag Harbor, Round Pond.
Oh,
The one
There's a lot
around
of
Pond.
rounds around here, a lot of round.
Too many
that's
rounds.
been around as long as I have on the
Going
trustees.
around.
Yeah, he's
project.
been around a long time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a long meeting.
Do you know if the village turned the power on for the bubblers at Agawam today?
They gave, excuse me, I gave Al Gary's phone number because he had called me just before we were going to the meeting, so I didn't have a chance to call the village. So
Yeah.
Al, the village.
Okay.
Directly.
Because I didn't have a Gary's number, that's why I had him contact you, Billy.
Yeah, I had Gary's number.
Okay.
Okay. I just have one quick thing.
No.
No, it's quick, it's quick.
We're going to executive session?
In a minute. And
Okay.
I just want to let the board know that four bags of oysters were placed down in the Pine Neck Canal down in Flanders there under the supervision of Cornell University. So we're going to monitor their growth. And 2 bags of oysters were put in that small marina, off that small marina in that small cove that we were just talking about off Pearson Road there, Bay Avenue and Pearson Road in Flanders there, to monitor their growth to see if they would be adequate as nursery areas. So we're moving ahead on the oyster culture in that area.
Hey, Aaron, and one more thing.
Yes.
Cornell came over to West Neck and did the same.
Okay.
Probably 6 totes in.
Yes.
And was location in West Neck.
Oh,
And
but they
those are
put them, they
oysters that
free
they
planted
got-
them though, right?
We planted.
Okay.
Those oysters, Billy and everybody, were oysters that had wintered over, and they were like 3 times the size of the normal oysters.
Oh, yeah.
They put them in West Neck and in Cold Springs.
Mhm.
So that was a win for us.
Oh, yeah, I did it. I went out in my boat and did it. That's it.
So you're going to monitor them, right, and test them every month?
No, I just watch them.
Oh, okay.
I do have one thing. Kim Barber did contact us about the licensing agreement that we were supposed to engage with the Cornell at the Utina Beach area with their, I believe it was a 5-acre area for their oysters, clams, and eelgrass plantings. We never finalized that. Martha left us. I don't know where the document is right now, but I thought it was pretty close for us to be signing. I don't know if Sean wants to look into it or want me to contact Martha and see where it is.
Somebody email me. I'm happy to take a look at it.
Kim Barber, maybe she has it.
Yeah, she'll probably
they
have a
also
copy
wanna
of it.
Well, it never got signed. It was just, in Martha's, draft form.
And this is to give them 5 acres of property or something to
Yeah, we were
do
gonna
experiments on?
like a sanctuary off of Tiana for them to do eelgrass, clams, and oysters.
And they want to put what do they want to put? What else did they want to put over there, Eddie? There was some other activities going on.
They wanted to grow algae on a rope, a seaweed on a rope, right?
Yeah.
To promote
Kelp.
kelp growing, yes.
Yep.
Lisa, there's a box. Lisa, there's a box. Oh, no. It's been too
What?
long a meeting.
So funny.
Seaweed on a
Didn't
rope,
Martha-
yes.
Didn't Martha have a box? There's a box
I have
someplace.
access to Martha's F drive. So what am I looking for, Ed? Eelgrass?
It would be a licensing agreement between the town trustees and Cornell Cooperative Extension to do a sanctuary in Tiana. The coordinates were drawn up and everything.
Also,
Sanctuary.
a dropsy. It's a flupsy. They want to put a flupsy at the Tiana Bayside area too.
Yes.
Start growing shellfish there. Okay,
Okay.
flupsy.
Guys, you guys have been talking for 4 hours now.
I'm glad we amuse you.
Well, we only get together every other week instead of every week, so we got a lot to talk about.
I'm sorry. Please excuse me. It's been a very long day.
You got the flupsy.
I got the flupsies. Seaweed on a rope, and
this is going to be turning into Negroni hour.
Yes.
Erica, we're going to go into an executive session
For 6.5 minutes.
I have something important to bring up. So.
Okay, so do I. Okay.
Okay,
All right,
motion to close, President?
Are we good to go? Make the motion to close the meeting, go into executive session to
Second.
discuss legal matters.
For the purpose of confidential legal advice?
Yes.
And litigation.
Yes. And Sean, you can stay on for a little while, okay?
Sounds good.
The dog just got up. I thought we were leaving.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, meeting's closed.